Yeah. You can change it to public later on. It's friends.
Oh, it's friends. Okay, let's see. I can change it now. Let's see. Okay.
Thanks.
At least it's moving now. Okay. Let's make privacy. I'm putting it to public. Okay. There we go. Yep, it's public now. Okay. Okay, got that. Okay. Let's put it. Okay. Those who wonder why my face gets close to the screen, because of my poor eyesight. Why I'm wearing sunglasses? It's to handle, well, just so that I'm sensitive to light. So that's the reason why. Okay. Namaste and welcome everybody to Vedas Simplified Part 2. And we have the lovely Alkananda Mohapatra with us again today. You're looking absolutely beautiful. And we're really looking forward to what you have to say today. So Alka will be she'll be talking about and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that as mentioned that you'll be talking about karma, how affects your body and life circumstances, Jyotish, Vedic astrology, that is, fractals, types of love, types of pain, types of obstacles, and also how all of these concepts are connected according to the Vedas. So yeah, we're really really looking forward to that, and I hope that the audience will find this interesting. And yeah, so yeah, thank you.
Let me just share my screen.
Yep, I can see your screen. Yeah, and yep, it's great. And I know you.
Okay. Uttara, can I just request you to sing any starting song?
Yeah. Okay. No problem. No problem. Okay. It'll be quite a. Okay. I'll try. Okay. Okay. I'll do a short Ganesh Vandana, short Ganesh. I'll do one mantra from the I think it's from the Kathopanishad, short one. Okay. Vakratunda Mahakaya Sukoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeषु Sarvada.
Thanks. Okay.
And one more mantra from the it's a Vedic mantra, and you probably so I explain the meaning, because it's a very beautiful meaning. It's Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you. That was beautiful, Uttara. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I know I did have the meaning of it, so I'll just get it up. So just want to make sure that I give the explanation. There's this beautiful book of Vedic that I got. There was a Secret Santa event when I Sanskrit from David Stoll, and I have no idea who gave this to me. Because it's really, yeah. So so what it is it means may the Lord protect us both, may He nourish us both, and may we be given strength, and may our reflective study of the scriptures be illuminated, and may we not oppose or hate each other, and peace, peace, peace. So it's a nice universal kind of prayer. So I think it's nice because it just it's universal, because even if it may not even be just for the Vedas, even for any text that you study, where you're looking for knowledge, for wisdom, it's nice, it's just I feel that it's a high thought. So yeah, I felt it might be appropriate to
Beautiful, beautiful.
so yeah, thank you, Alka, and yeah, please, yeah, I'll let you go ahead.
You can still see my screen?
Yes, I can. Yep.
Okay, cool. So I just want to thank all my gurus. My initial beginning introduction to Vedas I got from Jagat Guru Sri Kripalji Maharaj. And later on, via YouTube and social media, I got introduced to other gurus as well. I don't know if they know that I'm their student, but I think I'm one in a billion of people who follow them. So I really want to thank them, all of them, from the bottom of my heart for all the knowledge that they have passed on to all of us. So the first few slides are just a recap of what we did in part one. The first one is like the various scriptures that we have, the Vedas, the four Vedas, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, and Atharva Veda. And each of the Vedas are again divided into Samhitas, Brahmanas, Aranyakas, and Upanishads. And we also went through in part one. I think I can hear myself. You need to mute maybe.
Oh, I'm sorry. Apologies.
No.
Realized I had muted myself. Sorry about that.
Sure. Thank you so much. So yeah, I'll do the couple of first 5 slides are just a recap of the previous one. So we have like the 4 Vedas, the Rig Vedas, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, and Atharva Veda. And each of the Vedas are again divided into 4 parts: Samhitas, Brahmanas, Aryanakas, and Upanishads. And we also discussed the introduction to Vedas. 3 things are eternal and indestructible. One is Brahman, the universal principle or the universal reality, the Jiva, which is the Jivatma, or a living being, Maya, illusion or simulation, that is the closest English word that we could get. So these 3 are eternal. And we also discussed that there are 2 birds in each of us looking at each other. One is the Jivatma, that is our soul, we are the Jiv. And the other one is Paramatma, which is the God particle, we can call it in English probably. And these 2 are always looking at each other in our heart. So in every living being, we have Jivatma and Paramatma. We also discussed about the analogy about Brahman, saying that Brahman is like a drop in the ocean. So we are like a drop, and Brahman is the entire ocean. So that is the analogy that is given in the Vedas. And another concept of Vedas that we discussed was reincarnation, that everything is eternal or infinite. There is birth, rebirth, death, again birth, rebirth, so it goes on in a cyclic manner. And even everyone, say even the universe, the demigods, everyone has to go through this reincarnation process. So there is always a rebirth happening everywhere. We also discussed about the 3-body doctrine, where each of us have got 3 bodies inside 5 koshas or 5 layers. We discussed about having a physical body, a subtle body, as well as causal body. And the koshas, like 5 different koshas, are like Ananya kosha, Pranmaya kosha, Manomaya kosha. So these are like the 5 different koshas that we have, the layers. And inside the 5 layers, we have 3 different bodies. Physical body is what we know, like what we see each other as at the moment in Zoom. That is the physical body. The subtle body is active in our dreams. It is subtle in nature. Even that has got its own mind, its own, indriyas, like eyes. It can feel, it can, do things, but it is all subtle in nature. And the causal body is activated in deep sleep, which is when there is no, dreams. In that state, we have the causal body activated. And we also had discussed about the rebirth concept, like wherever our mind is at the end or like the time of our death, that is where our next birth will be. And what we will be facing in that new birth is based on something called as prarabdha karma. We will discuss about the 3 types of karma. We will do a recap. So yeah, so that is so at the time of the death, wherever our mind would be, whatever we would be thinking, that is where our next birth will be. Okay. And we had also discussed about the karma, like the 3 types of karma, which is like the sanchit karma, which is the collection of infinite lifetimes. We also discussed about the prarabdha karma, which is like a portion or a subset of the infinite lifetimes. And we also had discussed about the agami karma, which is the free will of the current birth. So agami karma, and we also have kriyaman karma. So that's the free will that we have. And I have accumulated certain diagrams of fractals where you can see like the fractal is like, if you just focus into the tiny part, it is similar to the entire picture. So our life just goes again and again, like round and round as fractals. And you will see fractals everywhere in nature once you start focusing. If you go out to nature, every plant has got fractals combination in it. Everything like from a seashell or inside our body, if you go into the cells and everything will be looking as a fractal. So I think we mentioned about the microcosm and the macrocosm. They both look exactly the same. So that is the concept of karma, rebirth, and fractal. And we had there are a few concepts in Vedas which have been mentioned, like no two individuals are same. So Vedas say that each one of us is unique. So no two people think like the same. So my thinking would be completely different than your thinking or your understanding and everything. So there will be, even if like the twins, they will have different, so everyone is unique. That's what Vedas say. The second thing Vedas say is nothing is stable in the universe. Everything is moving. Even if we think that it is stable, if we look from a very high level, everything is moving. And the third is everyone is searching for happiness. And the fourth one is like everyone does things for gaining happiness because we think that we are lost because of Maya and we are looking for happiness. So these are a couple of concepts of Vedas. There's also another concept called as karta and karan. So for every karta, which is a doer, there is a karan, there is a cause. And that creates this infinite fractal. So for example, there is fire. Fire can burn a forest, but then the forest again regrows. So there is always a karta and there is always a karan. And these are like a chain. They keep on, and every karan creates another karta, every karta creates another karan, and it just goes round and round. And they form a fractal. So these are the things that we discussed in the last episode. Do you have any questions till there? Uttara, you're on mute.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that Humaji just put a question in the comments, in the comment on the live. I'll just read you her question. So her question is, if our karma decides our destiny, how do you explain 10 people buy plane tickets for a holiday, 8 people reach their destination, and 2 people die in a plane crash. All their actions were the same, i.e. buying a plane ticket for a holiday. I would be grateful for a response. So that's a question. So,
It's a beautiful question, actually. So what we can see is like the actions of, say, particular only one birth. We are not able to see the actions of previous births. So as Vedas say that everyone is unique and every one of us is doing different karma, my product will be different than your product. Like my fractal diagram will be different than your fractal diagram. So in that particular plane or in that journey, if there are like 10 passengers, all the passengers have got different product karma from previous lifetimes. We can only see the karmas that they have, one has performed in this particular lifetime, but we don't know what the product karma they had from the previous lifetimes. Their results will be definitely different. Did I answer the question?
That is interesting answer, and I hope this answered your question, Humaji. Although I know that Humaji also, I know that she had another thing she's interested in knowing, and I know that you will cover this today, just because she had been to a Vedant lecture, and a guru called Bhaskari apparently said that that you make your destiny with your karma, and that it's that the keys to this are in the stars and in astronomy and astrology. So I know that we've talked about this quite a lot in our phone conversations. So I know that's another thing she wants to know. So I guess maybe this question might be connected to that as well.
So very important to understand is fractals as well as how it is linked to karma. So as we discussed in the previous slides, that the entire like karma of all our infinite births is present in Sanchit karma. Only a subset of that we are bringing in Prarat karma. So Prarat karma is the destiny. So for example, when a child is born, if you take a screenshot of the sky, that becomes the Vedic astrology chart of that baby. And that is only giving us what product that particular soul is about to fulfill. What is its destiny? Why it was born? Why that particular soul or Jivatma chose that particular body? Because to fulfill this product karma. So the Vedic astrology chart, birth chart, is nothing but it's the product karma of that particular soul. So everything that a particular person will, all the circumstances that they will face will be based on this product karma. But there is also a free will. So there is new karma also that we are performing in this particular birth, which is the agami or the kriyaman karma. So that is why no astrologer can 100% predict what is the future, because it's definitely based on product, but there is also a free will acting in place. So these concepts of karma is very crucial to as like a beginning or a starting step to understand astrology, how they are connected. Yeah. Shall we move forward? Probably in the next slides, like we can understand a little bit more. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'm happy for you to go ahead. Yeah, I'll let you know if there are any more questions come up or if I have any questions. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, we'll try to keep this very, very simple and very high level. We don't want to get into like real deep details. But I'll try my best to explain how the concept of karma, how fractals, as well as how our body is linked. So inside our body, there are obviously there are 3 types of bodies, right? Like one is the physical body, the causal body, as well as subtle body. In subtle body, we have got what we call as energy channels or nadis. One is the left side is called Ida Nadi, and the right side is called the Pingala Nadi. And there is another straight line, which is the Sushumna. So Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna, I apologize if my Sanskrit accent is not right, but these are the three channels. And these channels are like, if you see, they are like a snake. Yeah. So these channels are inside human bodies. And then they are tied in between with something called as chakras, or the center points. So there are many chakras, but the main important ones are these 7 chakras that we have. And what it is said that various chakras in human bodies are, blocked due to various, emotions that we have. For example, the first chakra is blocked by fear. When human beings are put into like a very fearful situation, for example, like the COVID situation that we had, everyone was like in a deep fear. What fear does is it blocks the first chakra. And the first chakra is in the Muladhara. We will see how these chakras are connected with the sky as well later on. So Muladhara is like obviously in our private parts. So that chakra, once everybody is instilled with a lot of fear, or if we are in a fearful situation, that chakra gets blocked. So once we let go of that fear, this chakra opens up. Yeah. The second chakra is blocked by guilt. A lot of guilt that as humans, we have. Like as human beings, we have our own flaws. So these are some of the emotions that we come with, and we have to let go in a particular life. So if we let go of any guilt that we have, we open up the second chakra. The third chakra is blocked by shame. When we are really shameful, when we are humiliated by various situations, that shame can block our third chakra. The fourth chakra is blocked by grief. When we experience death of our beloved, or any grief, any sadness that we have, that chakra gets blocked, the fourth chakra. The fifth chakra gets blocked by lies. By lies, the lies that we say are to ourselves mostly. That everything is like, for example, everybody, I don't want to like generalize, but if we are using like Instagram to just portray that everything is beautiful in our life, or we see somebody else's life and just think that everything is beautiful in their side. So these are the lies that we, tell to ourselves subconsciously. And the fifth chakra gets blocked by those kind of lies. The sixth chakra is blocked by illusions. The illusions that we have, the Maya, it blocks the sixth chakra. So once we start to understand the Vedic knowledge and meditate and understand there is something called as Maya, and we are beyond that. Our energy as human beings, our potential is beyond that, those illusions. We can let go of that, and this sixth chakra, the blocked sixth chakra, can open up as well. The seventh chakra is blocked by earthly attachments. The various attachments that we have, we are attached to our, say, family members. We are attached to, our circumstances, our life circumstances, our car, our house, and everything. So these earthly attachments make us, really, it blocks the seventh chakra. So these are the 7 important chakras. There are other chakras as well, but these are the important ones that we will go through. Do you have any questions on this slide?
Sorry, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I don't have any questions as such. Although it's just so interesting. I know that because I know that I learned I have a Reiki and meditation teacher, so she taught me. She does a lot of chakra meditations and Reiki. And she talked about these concepts before. But so I'm familiar with this. But still, it's great to hear to hear all this, and hopefully it would be of use to other people who
Sure.
would be interested in this. So thank you. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So what happens is there is a sleeping snake. You know, the snake that is biting each other. That snake is in our Muladhara chakra over here, mostly in a human's genitals. That's where it is sleeping. You know, once we awaken it, it can be awakened through deep meditation, or sometimes, circumstances like accidents, or when people are put into like fearful circumstances. So there are various stages where this chakra accidentally opens as well. This sleeping snake, it gets activated. But then there are meditations, chakra meditations, which one can do, and that what happens is these energies can be pushed from the Muladhara chakra to the crown chakra, which is over here. And that is the concept of Kundalini. So what Kundalini does is it not only activates, once a person is spiritually activated, that means his Muladhara chakra is activated. So this sleeping snake, which you can see, like mostly it is shown as a snake which is eating its own tail. So that when it gets activated within us through spiritual enlightenment, or there are other ways as well to get it activated, the energy flows from down towards up. And then once it goes, reaches the crown chakra, there is kind of an like enlightenment that happens. And one can experience the same amount of bliss or happiness that is there in Brahman, which is called as Paramananda. Yeah.
Sorry, I only just saw that Homaji had put a question saying it's easy to say let go, but how do you let go? And as these blockages. So would you like to go ahead and answer, or would you mind if I
Yes,
gave
sure. When I say like, for example, the first chakra is blocked by fear, let go. How will you let go of fear? Once you accept that there is something that is causing fear. Once you accept that, once you recognize that, and you have, like, people have to come over their own their own fearfulness, their own guilt, their own shame. There are various meditations, like chakra meditations, that one can do to get over these emotions as well. There are mantra meditation. So there are 3 different paths that one can choose. One is by mantra. Listening to various mantras can help. There are various yantras as well. So yantra means it's a 3D. For example, there is a Shri yantra. There is a Mount Meru yantra, where you do a yantra meditation as well. So there are various paths that are mentioned in Vedas to get over these emotions and to open these blockages. And to just start with is like, once you start understanding Vedas, it helps you to overcome everything. You try to see like the bigger picture. Like, before you understand these concepts, you are only seeing yourself as I, like there is an ego. But once that ego is like open, like you know that there is some, like, we are not our physical body, and we are not our subtle body that we see in our dreams. We are the causal body, which is actually similar, actually a carbon copy of the Brahman, which is like, we are part of the big ocean. When we see the bigger picture, it gets really easier to understand all of this and let go. So it doesn't come in one day. There is so that is why spiritual awakening is very important. So what happens here in Prarabdha karma is like, why no one is able to utilize their free will? Because if we are not mindful, what happens is the probability of doing the Prarabdha karma goes on and on and on. Like, we keep on repeating the same mistakes of our past life. So that is why our fractal just remains exactly the same. Our life pattern remains exactly the same. if we have done, say, one particular mistake in this particular birth, we must have done it in previous multiple births as well. So that is why it keeps on repeating. And the only way to get out of that prarabdha karma is to understand, to activate this free will, which is kriya. And kriyaman karma is also activated by kriya meditation, which is a meditation using your breath. Your breath and your mind are connected. So there are various meditation techniques to begin with, and that helps you being mindful of, and activate this free will karma, which is very important. So that is why a lot of our sages, our ancient sages, have given a lot of importance to our breath, so that we are mindful and we can escape the same old fractal. At least we can elevate ourselves to the next stage. And yeah.
May I add something as well?
Yes.
So yeah, it's all very fascinating, and I would say maybe just to add further to this, to try and add my own take on how to let go of these blocks. I know it's easier said than done. I know we all have our own struggles, but even other ways. And I know it's kind of similar to what you've mentioned, but I know that people who do chakra meditations of various cultures, they do things called affirmations that are connected with chakras, which are kind of similar to mantras. I know that they're sort of in English. You can get affirmations, and there are. I know that people who I know that there's meant to be for each chakra there's a particular syllable that you'll say, like there's lam for Muladhara, for example. I know there are diagrams, so then I could share those maybe in the comments later. I'll get a picture. There are various ways to let go. You could do affirmations, you could do chakra meditations, guided ones with visualization, and there's journaling. I know people journal sometimes. Sometimes writing things down can help you release things. I know we're kind of I know maybe this isn't completely in line with the tradition, but just to further address Umaji's question, I know that these are things that my Reiki meditation teacher and other people I've met through the meditation group, that they do these kind of things for trying to let go of these blockages. So I hope it would be of some use. I can also write that in the comments below after the live. So yeah. But thank you, Alka. Thank you. No, that's yeah.
No, that would be like really fantastic if you can share them with us. Last but not the least, I think there was a quote by Terence McKenna where he said that once, and it also goes with something called as Abhichara, which is kind of a study on black magic of the Vedas, from the Vedas, it was usually a study done to, have a psychological impact on the enemy, so that they are psychologically weak and they can't do anything. But the only way to get out of that was first to acknowledge and first to understand what it meant. So for example, if we are, as humanity, we are put into some kind of fear, once we understand why this fear has been instilled, then that fear just goes away. So that is the concept of Vedas, that first you have to understand from where it has come from. And then once you start meditating on that to get unblocked, it actually happens. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Very interesting. Sorry, that's really interesting. Like although it sounds a bit scary as well. That
Yes.
magic. Although yeah, I know I personally do believe that people there is such thing as that. It's just but it's interesting also that you say that you like that saying says that you acknowledge it, or you realize why a certain fear is happening because of the impact of such things, and it kind of I know that maybe it's not exactly the same, but you might. I know in the modern context, in the everyday context, you can think of certain spells that certain media, like, can put out, and the effect that it can have on people, certain maybe, and I know we won't get into that too much, but even how propaganda and persuasion can work, but of course we won't get into that, because but it's it's similar, kind of similar to how it's very interesting. But please carry on.
Yeah, so that's what Vedas also says. For example, this concept of karta and karak. For every cause, there is a karan. Once we understand the karan, that karan goes away. So it just dissolves in it. So once we understand the cause of the fear, cause of the pain, cause of like all these emotions, where they have come from, they go away. It's the same with knowledge as well. That's what in Vedas, there is a concept that even knowledge, when it has given everything that it has to provide to a person, the knowledge goes away. So when we see it from a very, very high level, like India had so much of Vedic knowledge, but once everything was passed away, even the knowledge had to die. And then the knowledge is reborn again. So this concept of birth, death, and rebirth, it happens to everything, like even knowledge, even like pain, even like negative emotions, positive emotions, everything goes through reincarnation as per Vedas. So yeah, so the first thing is to find out where it has actually come from and then let go of it. And various meditations are provided. One thing to be very careful in Kundalini awakening meditation is like, do not attempt it without a guru. Because what happens is, as we know that we have got 3 bodies, if in Kundalini awakening, what happens is the subtle body gets activated. And this subtle body goes into a different realm altogether. And in that realm, there could be positive energies as well as negative energies. So if the mind of physical body and the subtle body, they are not aware or they are not activated, there is a high chance that they can also attract a negative force with them. So always try to do it under a guidance of a guru, and do not try to do it on your own. But there is another aspect as well, that Kundalini can also arise accidentally in certain people, and without guru, they don't know what to do with this kind of energy. So for that, I would only recommend that you try to understand, these concepts, where they are coming from. That will give you some kind of peace and some kind of curiosity to, understand them further. Okay, so you remember the snake that we were talking about, the snake biting its own tail? We'll just do a brief, so this is like a myth, we call it myth, but it could have very well happened, we never know. But there was something called a Samudra Manthan. So you see, like there was like this happened in Kurma Avatar, where Lord Vishnu was as a tortoise and a Mount Meru, which is like the fractal or the Fibonacci series. It was kept, and there was a snake which was tied, and the tail side of the snake, there were all the devatas. There were all the asuras, I think, and no, sorry, devatas in this side and asuras in the other side, and then they started churning the ocean, and from this ocean, from a different dimension, which is like you see this one in the sky, there is a black hole in here. And from there, this black hole is connected to a different dimension. So this is called the Mula Chakra, the Mula Nakshatra. And this is equivalent to the Mula Chakra that we have in our body. So this one in our sky is similar to what the Muladhara Chakra that we discussed in the previous slide as well. So everybody came out of here. So there was Amrit, there was poison that came up, there were different demigods, where there were gods, there was Kamadhenu cow that came, there was Agni. So literally every demigod that we have in the Vedas, they came from a different dimension, to our galactic center. And that was through this black hole, which we will see. And it is present in the Sagittarius constellation in the sky at the moment. And this is called as Mula Nakshatra in Sanskrit. So during Samudra Manthan, there was one Asura which disguised itself and it sat within the Devatas to get the Amrit or the Soma. And he actually drank it and he became immortal. And what Vishnu ji did was he cut his head into cut his head. So his head part became Rahu and the tail part became Ketu. So this eternal cycle is nothing but the head part is the Rahu and the tail part is the Ketu. And in our body, wherever, in our birth chart, wherever Rahu is, that's where our obsession is. So Rahu is obsessed. And wherever the tail part remains, that's where we are detached from those kind of things in our birth. So you see this black hole here. Yeah, this falls in Sagittarius zodiac in here. And scientists, NASA scientists have actually found a black hole in here. And this is our sun or solar system, which is 28,000 light years away from here. And our solar system takes 230 million years to orbit this particular. So, and it is so fascinating that in Vedas, it is written that this nakshatra is like a root and all the stars are actually either coming out or going inside that root. So it is like a portal from a different dimension to this dimension. And it falls in Sagittarius. And I found it really fascinating how like people thousands of years back could even say that this is like, there is a black hole here, all the stars are revolving around it. I mean, it's fascinating. And if you see like there are, in total, there are 88 constellations in the sky, this diagram. And our sun or the ecliptic, that's what it's called, our solar system only passes in this path. You see the snake-like path? That is where it keeps on passing. And these are the zodiacs. Pisces, say Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo. So these are the zodiac. And all the 27, or sometimes it is also called as 28 nakshatra or the constellations fall under this 12 zodiac. I have taken, so this birth chart is of His Majesty King Charles. So this is like a birth chart of him. I've taken his example. So this is nothing but the screenshot of the sky when he was born. And there is, so this becomes like the static chart. So this is just a screenshot, or if somebody takes a picture when he was born, so this is that. And you also need to understand like there is a dynamic chart. The planets haven't stopped after his birth. They keep on moving. So there is a dynamic chart as well. And when the static chart and dynamic chart are read together, there is a study called Jyotishya in in Vedas, where you can understand and predict what is the product that he is getting from the previous birth. So this chart tells you about the product or the destiny or, that someone has brought from their previous past lifetimes. And Jyotish or Vedic astrology is called the eyes of the Vedas. And there is a beautiful quote by Dr. David Frawley saying that Vedic astrology Jyotish is the science of light. It is the eyes of the Vedas. It not only helps us understand our own karma, it also it's a tool to understand Vedas or and self-realization as well. So once someone starts understanding, it makes them more and more curious to understand how the entire wheel of time, or what is called as Kala Chakra, is working, how the entire universe is working. Oops. This is another example. It's the same, planets, all this, these 12 zodiac and the 27 constellation inside the 12 zodiac. This chart shows like these are just the 12. If you count 1, 2, oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, there will be 12. And then there are 27 nakshatras here. So this is like a chart. And these are also connected with human bodies. So various parts of human bodies are equivalent to various parts in the sky. So what the concept here is, like, if we study for example, the sky today, and we map back when the sky was similar in the past, the events that has happened then will repeat again now. So that is the concept of fractals. So events keep on repeating in a certain pattern. So for example, today, moon is, say, in the sign of Aries, here, in the nakshatra called Bharani, in here in the zodiac. And if we study all other planets, where they are, and we go back in time when the sky was exactly the same, and we study what events happened in the world at that particular time, those events are going to repeat again. So that is the concept of fractals. Everything keeps on repeating in a certain pattern because it is part of the prarabdha karma. So the prarabdha keeps on repeating until there is a new karma that is performed, or a new understanding that happens to this to a particular person or humanity. So that's the concept. Is it clear till now?
Yes, yeah, it is clear to me and so fascinating. I know that we have discussed this before offline. There was just one question. I know that when you first started talking about nakshatras, there's a slide, I think there was 27/28 out of 88 nakshatras, and I thought, oh wow, there are 88 nakshatras. Could you tell me a bit more about that? There are 88 nakshatras, or
Yes. Yeah. So in total in the sky, this is if you go to, I think, NASA's website, I took this from a scientist himself. So there are like 88 in the sky in total.
Wow.
But our ancestors in Vedas, they have actually mentioned only these 12. It's not only in India, it's all over the world. They have mentioned these 12. And it's so fascinating that our ancient knew that the sun only passes into this ecliptic, not any other constellation.
Oh, I see. Okay, I understand.
So
Yeah.
our solar system, you see this line, the ecliptic?
Yes, yeah.
So the sun or the solar system only passes through these 12 zodiac, and all the 27 nakshatra is part of these 12.
That's so interesting.
That's so fascinating. Like, how did they even know if they didn't have any telescope or anything? They were seeing the whole sky, but how did they know they only pass through these 12 and they only pass through this 27 or 28 nakshatras? How exactly did they know this?
Wow. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's possible that maybe there was some ancient technology that we don't know about, or it could have been maybe just some extrasensory perception or sixth sense. They got this insight through meditation, and I know, of course, for people who are skeptical of this will sound out there, but these are guesses that I have. It's good to keep an open mind, at least in my view it is. But it's just so interesting that, of course, I know that there are 88, but when you talk of the black hole Mula and this these other constellations, who knows whether these other constellations that have been included, whether they might affect other human species. I know you had covered part one, there are 4 lakhs of human species according to the Vedas. So,
Yeah.
and so I know we're kind of, we wouldn't be able to cover all this in here, but
Yeah.
just, this is just purely
Yeah.
guessing or what people may call speculation. Who knows whether these other constellations may
Yeah.
outside you know, that solar oh, I'm terrible at remembering the name. So
And this is Mula Nakshatra. Mula is the root.
yeah, who knows whether these other constellations that haven't been included in the nakshatra system, whether they may be affecting other human species.
Yes, yeah, it is fascinating because
Oh,
this is only for the solar system. But for others, like if in total there are 4 lakhs human species as per Vedas, and we are just Homo sapien, one of the species. For the rest of the human species, who knows, there must be some other chart, some other Fibonacci sequence. So this is our Fibonacci sequence. This is our fractal that we know. For them, the fractal will be completely different. You see this diagram that we have?
Yeah.
So our diagram is based on this 12 zodiac and the 27 nakshatras.
Yeah.
Theirs will be different. Theirs will be based on the sun.
And I know it's not just, you know, I know the Vedas, obviously they have the Vedas has a concept of this, and then of course nowadays you have people who talk even there are others over the past, at least over the past century or so, even previous centuries, where people have talked about seeing UFOs, or over centuries ago. There was a painting in medieval times. I think it's from the medieval times of some UFOs in the sky, or it was meant to be depicting what some people witnessed. I know we're getting into territory where people might think that this is a bit of woo-woo, but if they were to look into these stories of UFOs, well, not just in previous centuries, but also in the 20th and 21st century. It is fascinating. Who knows whether there may be a link between this and what the Vedas says. But I'll let you carry on.
It's fascinating because, like, there's definitely, like, if Vedas are saying there are 84 lakh different species, and out of that 4 lakh different kind of human beings, and we are just one kind, there are definitely others. So where are they? They must be very far away, because if you see, even through Mula Nakshatra to our solar system is 28,000 light years. So none of us is living for 28,000 light years to see others. So definitely there is a lot that we don't know than what we know in total. And even our solar system is taking 30 million years to orbit just this particular Mula Nakshatra. So it's fascinating.
Yeah, it's fascinating. You don't know. And,
Yeah.
even scientists today, I think even scientists now are starting to,
yes,
at least from what I know, they're starting to acknowledge that there's a possibility that there are that there are extraterrestrials out there.
Definitely.
So then, it's always good to keep an open mind. At least I feel that you don't necessarily have to stick to one paradigm.
Yes. Yeah. So so that's the concept. Like this is like the birth chart is just a screenshot. This is the static chart. And the planets that keep on moving, they become the dynamic chart. And when we study both of them together, then they become like something called as wheel of time, or the Kala Chakra, which tells or predicts everything in the future. This diagram here. To understand this concept, like this is again the same Samudra Manthan, and this is like the snake eating its own tail. So this is Rahu, and this tail is the Ketu. I'll give you a context of this one. So there was a movement, I think in 1500 or 1600, called as the Age of Enlightenment. So based on that, what happened is, like there were a lot of intellectuals that were also sent to the eastern side of the world. So a lot of intellectuals came during the colonizing period to India. One of them was this person, Mr. Tunot Duvot Tene. He was born in 1796, and he was there until 1875. So what he did was he came and he did a study with a lot of, pundits or intellectuals in India at that point of time. And he drew a couple of diagrams, and it was published in Paris in 1843. One of the diagrams he drew about how all of us are being formed is through this Samudra Manthan story. We are being pulled, like all of us on Earth have been pulled from a different loka altogether and pushed into Earth and through this, and we all have a collective obsession as humanity, and we are collectively detaching, or there is a Ketu as well. And the mountain, the Mount Meru that was used in this diagram here, this mountain is very important as well because this denotes the fractal or the Fibonacci sequence. So Fibonacci sequence is used, solar system is used. There is a concept of Rahu, which is the obsession. There is a detachment that we all have. So you see this birth chart. Wherever Rahu is in that birth chart, that is where the obsession is. So for example, in King Charles, Rahu is in, this is the 10th house, and it's in 1, it's in the Aries. So you see here, his Rahu is in here. So he's obsessed about, his karma or his duty. That's his obsession in this particular birth. And he's somewhat detached with these side of things. Somehow he must have felt, so this house, the 4th house, is a house related to mother as well. Somehow while growing up, he must have felt a little bit detached from his mother because his mother was always busy with work and her duty as a Queen of England as well. So he's kind of detached. So this, so Rahu is always the obsession of the current birth, that the product that he's bringing from his previous life, and also Ketu is the detachment. So that is like one of the things that we can see in a birth chart. And these are like the 12 houses in the static chart, and each house has got its own meanings, and all the planets have got their own meaning. For example, Saturn is a planet which is a very, very heavy planet, heavy duty planet, which brings all the karma, like the karma that you have to perform in this particular birth, or the product that you're bringing from your previous birth. That's what it shows. And Saturn performs its karma through Rahu and Ketu. There are some other images that Mr. Duvo Tenney had published in Paris after he came back from India. This is the images of primal Brahma, which is like, the Brahman, Jiva, and Maya that we have discussed. So in the causal level, everything divides itself into 2 parts. There is always a dimorphic pair that Vedas have told us. Like, for example, there is a pair of Soma and Agni. There is a concept called as feminine and masculine. It shouldn't be confused with the female and male that we understand as today. That these are slightly different and slightly deeper concepts. So everything in the causal level, it divides themselves into 2. And this is like the creation myth. So after causal level, everything comes to a subtle layer where everything subtly it keeps on happening. The sky, the planets that we see, the 27 nakshatras and everything, that is the subtle level. So we are first formed in the causal level. There is like, for each one of us, there is if we are the Soma, there is Agni for us. If we are the Agni, there is a Soma for us. If we are feminine, there is a masculine energy for similar, like equivalent to us. So there is like a pair that is happening in the causal level. In the subtle level, there is other concepts that are getting attracted in there. And here you can see like the birth chart. You see all the 12 zodiac and the 27 nakshatra that is being formed. So this, you can find this is happening in the Mula nakshatra, or the root. And then we are being, detached from a different dimension, and we are getting a birth on planet Earth.
Alka, sorry to if I'm cutting you off, it's so fascinating, but I think for those who may want to know a bit more about astrology, the nakshatras, the 12 houses, and the planets, would you be able to give a little overview? I know you touched on it a bit, like when you talked about Saturn. I mean, you don't have to go into like. I mean, of course, you can go into as much detail as you feel is appropriate. Maybe just in terms of trying to connect it with prarabdha, karma, and all those things, and
Yes, sure.
yeah, yeah, maybe, yeah, because for those who aren't familiar with the astrology or who may want to know a bit more about what the 12 houses are, what the grahas or upagrahas and the 12 houses and the nakshatras,
Sure.
maybe, and just even, I know even how you explained to me how to understand what the nakshatra placements in your chart mean for you. If you could give a little overview of that, it'd
Sure.
be.
This is like just the high level. There's so much to understand that we can't complete in this particular session. For example, each of the house is telling us something. For example, in Vedic astrology, this becomes your first house, or it's also called as ascendant. Yeah. And the ascendant is you, yourself. The second house is the house of your family lineage or even your wealth. Your third house is your communication. It could be your short distance travel. It could be your, siblings as well. So this is like the third house. Fourth house is depicting your motherland, your mother, your home environment, your peace, your happiness is your fourth house. Your fifth house is your children, your creativity, is seen from your fifth house. Your sixth house is like it can show your enemies. It can show a person's daily routines as well. It can show different types of pets that a person will have in a particular lifetime. So this is the sixth house. The seventh house, it's a reflection of you. That is your spouse and the other people, like the business partners that you will have in this particular lifetime. Your eighth house, it's a very, very fascinating house, and it's a very mysterious house. It's a very secretive house. It can deal with sex. It can deal with scandals. It can deal with transformation. Every people, they say they are born again. Like you are born with a certain understanding, but some, like for example, someday you understand the entire Vedas, then you have a completely different perception. So there is a transformation that has happened. So eighth house is kind of a transformational house as well, and also occult and secret knowledge. Your ninth house, this one is your spirituality house, your long distance travel house, and so on. Your 10th house is your karma that you are supposed to perform in this particular birth. Your 11th house is the gains from your karma that you will gain in this particular lifetime. And 12th house is your bed pleasures. It could be jails as well sometimes. It could be, secret that the world, hides from you. So it's again a very secretive and a mysterious house, but it also denotes a spirituality house as well. So each of the houses have got their own meaning. Each of the planet then again have got their own meaning. For example, Saturn is like your karma. Remember the concept of jivatma, the jiv, the living being. Your Jupiter becomes the jivatma. Your Mars is a very masculine or a male energy, or the boyfriends that a person can have, or even for a male, the male friends that a male has. It's like the Mars. Mars is like a soldier as well. Venus always denotes like the female friends, or for a man, it shows their spouse. Yeah. And Ketu is obviously detachment. Rahu, wherever Rahu is, that's where the person is obsessed. Moon is your mind. So whatever karma the mind is thinking, that becomes your karma. The mind of physical body. You see, like we have three types of bodies, right? So the physical body has subtle body also has got its own mind, but it can, but subtle body is activated in your dream. In your dreams, you are now doing various things like you're running, you're, sometimes I have also dreamt of flying on a whale, but those kind of karma doesn't calculate as karma, yeah, because that is like a subtle body's karma. But the physical body's mind, whatever it is thinking, it becomes, it is calculated as a new karma, and after that, the results go to Sanchit karma. Yeah. So moon is your mind. Sun is your Atma. Atma Karaka. It's a so you see where so we have got Jivatma and we have got Paramatma as well. Yeah. So sun is also very important because it is your soul. It is your actual Atma. That's what it shows. Mercury is a prince. It always shows like probably your siblings as well sometimes. So that's what it shows. So every planet has got their own meaning. And because this is like just a screenshot of the sky, you see when he was born, the sky, his lagna was 4, which is Cancer. So each of these zodiac has got their own number. So he was born in a Cancer lagna. And then each lagna, again, in turn, has got its own planet. So Cancer lagna's, planet or dispositor, it's what it is called, it's moon. So his first house dispositor is in his 10th house. So that is, again, that gives certain meaning. So there are like various studies in Vedic astrology where you can do all these permutation and combination, like which house dispositor is in which house. Is it exalted? Is it debilitated? For example, his Venus is debilitated in his 3rd house. Venus is the wife. And we saw like in his lifetime, his 2nd marriage was perfect, but he had to go through a break in his 1st marriage. So debilitation shows certain things. Exaltations show something. When 2 planets are in one particular house, it's called a conjunction. The conjunction has got a meaning. So that the study of Vedic astrology, it's like a practice. Nobody has perfected it at all. And a lot of people, as we say, we practice medicine because there is so much to discover. So Vedic astrology is still a practice. It has been, going on. And I'm really thankful to all my gurus over here who have helped me understand, at least the basis of, and I'm pretty sure like there's so much to learn that it's like this is like a never-ending study. So that's like a preview or prelims to.
No, thank you. And it's I know you were saying that sun is your Atma Karma, your soul. I know that it's interesting how you said that there's so many different schools of Jyotish or Vedic astrology. There's say Jaimini system or Ashtavarga, and Jaimini, they say the way of calculating your Atma Karka is to know which planet has the highest number of degrees. I think excluding Rahu and Ketu, is that right? Or well, I don't know whether that's
right. Excluding Rahu
and
Ketu, yes, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just so interesting. And it would, and the placement of your Atmakarka or your planet with the highest degree, that would say something about where your mind is placed or where your destiny lies or something like that in us. I could be wrong there. Maybe I'm talking nonsense because I'm not as knowledgeable as
no, you're perfectly fine. Like we all are learning in this journey, so I'm quite intrigued that even you are very much interested, and I think that's probably why our discussions on phone is like sometimes 2 hours, 3 hours, and then we forget about time.
Non-stop. It's like, there's so much to talk about. It's just so fascinating. And I know that I don't want to hold up your presentation. I know you've got more slides to cover, but I know just very briefly, I know you've talked about this, but I know that the 27/28 nakshatras, they each have their own stories, their own the stories or myths behind them. And I know connect to fractals. I know you were saying that, I know you've kind of mentioned it, you've covered it, how when certain planets are placed in a certain nakshatra or in a certain house or sign, then it's actually the nakshatras, that's the more kind of refined or the more precise kind of system of telling you about what effect that planet's placement would have. And you'd have to know the story of that nakshatra to see what impact that has. And you'd have to have some understanding of the story or the myth behind it, and also understanding of nature, because a lot of these nakshatras are connected with nature. So by observing nature, you also would understand what they mean for you, or particularly if you're looking at your own chart, or if you were reading, say, for someone else. And it's just so fascinating. There's just so much to it. So, please carry on.
Yeah, sure. So this is like just the static chart that we gave a brief introduction to. There is also the dynamic chart. For example, if you remember, there was a solar and a lunar eclipse. So I think it happened in in Aries. There was a eclipse that happened, and it was right on his Rahu. And Rahu in current sky is in Aries as well. Yeah. So what happened in that eclipse, during that eclipse, is like, I think it was first, it was solar eclipse first. Queen Mother, she passed away. I think it happened in this house. And then in the lunar eclipse, I think in that particular season, I have to recheck about this, but then he became king. So he had to lose his mother to gain authority, because this house is the house of karma as well. And Rahu is like a king or a famous person as well. So every planet have got various meanings to themselves. So he became the king of England in that Muhurata. So this dynamic chart, whatever is going, like Rahu in the current sky is in his 10th house. So his house of career is activated. He has to definitely, he has got some product from his past life that he has to, fulfill. So he was destined to become a king, for example, and that happened when this chart got activated. In the sky, when Rahu came into his exact on top of his natal Rahu, that's when it got activated. So there are studies to understand the static chart. There's again study to understand the dynamic chart and how to overlap each other as well.
So fascinating. And by dynamic charts, I just wanted to ask, you mean things like what they call in Sanskrit Mahadashas or Antardashas, that sort of thing? Is that what it means?
No. Mahadasha and Antardasha is like, again, the static chart. Like your chart has got your Mahadasha or your Antardasha and Subpariyantardasha and so on. But dynamic chart is like where the planets are moving. After your birth, nothing stays stable. Like even the planets keep on moving, right? So when Moon, when he was actually born a few, like 73 years back, or I don't remember his age, sorry, Moon was in Aries. But then now, Moon must have gone to a different, so Moon keeps on going to different, zodiacs every day. So every planet kept moving. So, for example, now the current Saturn in the sky. This is like, say, this is the sky. It's in here. It's in Aquarius, and actually, it's going retrograde on 17th. So, so every planet keep on moving as well. So that is the dynamic chart.
Okay, dynamic chart. Is that, and I'm sorry again if I miss the target. I'm trying to find the original term that translates to dynamic chart. This isn't to do with the panchang,
no, it is. Have you heard of something called as gochar?
Gochar. No, I admit I don't. No, I might have. Or maybe you said it. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, have you heard about transit?
Yes, I heard of
transits of planets. So
yes.
Gochar has come with two words. One is char, means the transit. Go means cow. On the Milky Way, that's where our zodiac is. The Gochar, like the planets, when they go in the Milky Way, that path is called the transit or the dynamic chart.
Isn't that a coincidence that you have the term Milky Way and then you have the ancient term Gochar? Very
Yes,
interesting.
yeah, even that is so that is why I found everything so fascinating. And the deeper you try to understand how these concepts are working, every day you're like amazed, like how did they even know like
Yeah,
that these things were
very,
happening. So
very interesting. That
very
in NASA's terms, it's called the Milky Way. Very interesting.
yes.
Yeah.
So Gochar is the transit of all these planets in the Go means the cow or the Milky Way. In the Milky Way, the transit of all these planets, even they have certain meanings on us. They activated the promised product. Say, for example, Saturn is now in here. So it is activating his promise of eighth house. So you see his eighth house is again 11, which is Saturn, and Saturn is in his second house. Yeah. And second house is his wealth or the property. So you see where when the Saturn transits in his eighth house, it gave him his property. Like he got all the wealth, he inherited. Eighth house is also inheritance, and second house is the family wealth. So when the Saturn in the Gochar here is in Aquarius at the moment, it activated his eighth house because his eighth house is Aquarius. And in his static chart, the promise is the eighth house lord is in his second house. So his inheritance he will be getting through Saturn. So it got activated. So these are the kind of concepts that we need to understand in transits as well. So that's the beauty of understanding the static chart and the dynamic chart.
So interesting. And also, I know that in the system of Vedic astrology, that the moon is given a lot of importance in terms of like they say, what's your nakshatra? It means where your moon is placed, which nakshatra or constellation your moon is placed in. And can you give a little explanation as to why the moon's placement in a nakshatra, why it's given importance?
Yes. Yeah. So you should come for everything. You have to come back to this diagram, the karma. So in Vedas, the karma, what is karma? Karma is based on whatever the physical body of human mind is thinking. And mind is associated with moon. So you see where you say a moon is the lunar cycle, you have this word called lunatic, which is something to do with the mind and it is associating with the moon. Where did it come from? So moon is always associated with the mind, and whatever the physical body's mind is doing, that becomes the karma. And the chart is nothing but just a screenshot, a promise of your prarabdha karma. So that is why moon, whatever your mind is thinking, is very important.
So fascinating, and
Yes.
even when I know for me personally that I know, as I mentioned in part one of this series that we did last Saturday, it's not that I completely disbelieved in Jyotish or Vedic astrology, but when certain things happened in my life, certain events, when the first one being 10 years ago, when I looked in at predictions that had been written for me when I was a newborn baby from the chart that my Dadaji had drawn for me. I know I do feel quite lucky and blessed in this to come from a family that where Jyotish is the traditional practice. But getting back to looking at the predictions, it was pretty. I was quite astounded and at how scarily accurate the predictions were for what had happened, and it was quite
Yeah.
a unique, unusual event. So I thought, oh, there
Yeah.
must be something to this. It can't
It
just
is
be what they
quite
call hocus pocus or mumbo jumbo woo woo. At least that's my point of view. So,
it is
yeah.
quite fascinating and quite scary at the same time because everybody has to go through their product, no matter who one is. Like they have to have their product completed in this particular. So that is why we have chosen this body. For
Yeah.
example, if I have chosen this body where I have to experience an enemy from my past birth, I would definitely meet him. No matter whatever I do, I hide, I do whatever, they will definitely come to me because it's a product. But then if my product also has that I will overcome that enemy, even that will happen because that is product, that is not any new karma. to perform any new karma, like all this karma is happening, but my new karma, I want to understand Vedas, which is my new karma, say, for example. So I have to put in more effort and be more mindful to perform a new karma or utilize that my free will as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I know that and I know that this is maybe a point that's debatable, but I know that there are various people say that there are various remedies for whatever uh, uh, whatever bad placements of planets there may be in your chart, and so to try and ward off the negative effects of planets. And I'd heard of these before. You wear certain gemstones, or you do certain, I don't know, Buddhas or fasts, or you do certain acts of charity. And I know we've discussed this before, and I've heard this from other people who know astrology, and also from channels on YouTube, like say Kapil Raj is a channel which we both know about, and I know you've thanked him in the in your slide with your gurus, but they say that the disadvantage of that, it just delays your product karma. It doesn't really get rid of. You may have of putting it off or nullifying it for the moment, but it just, I guess, like you said, everyone has to fulfill their pride. So the disadvantage of that is just you're just postponing what you have to go through. So of course, I know that human nature, I know that the ego or whatever you wouldn't like, it would make you not want to go through those negative things, but it's better to go through it. And I guess when you say there's kriyaman karma, there's your free will, then you grow spiritually. You become by just you look into the Vedic knowledge. I know, of course, there's the Vedas, there's the Upanishads, and then the Bhagavad Gita, I think, talks about this Vedic knowledge. It's like I guess it's like a simplification. Although the Bhagavad Gita, of course, in itself is a beautiful text. I know that was the first spiritual text I read. The first text of Sanatana Dharma that I did read, and I found that quite useful. Like just in terms of giving you an idea of how to be more mindful. And yeah, it's still so fascinating to know what the Vedas has to say. Please carry on.
I think Bhagavad Gita is beautiful because it has got this. So who actually understand Vedas? It has got 4 things. I think we discussed this. Like Bhagavad Gita says that people who go through a lot of distress, they try to understand Vedas. If they are curious, they try to understand. So they are the second category. The third category of people is like if they want to gain a lot of say wealth, or they want to gain something, they understand Vedas. And the fourth category is if they have done some good product in previous births and they are automatically born into a family which understand Vedas and makes them understand from the beginning, then that is like the fourth category. With myself, I came from the first category, the stress category, trying to understand, and then I'm slowly getting into the curious category, because the more I understand, I get curious, and I try to understand more. But then there's so much out there that we don't know. And it's a fascinating study, I tell you. So if we go through these primal Brahman, so the primordial pairs in causal level that happens. So you remember, like if I go back here, we have like bodies. If we take layers in the universe, even the universe has got a physical layer, a subtle layer, as well as the causal layer. In the causal layer, everything splits the Brahman, the energy. So Vedas have spoken about various kind of energies, like what we personifies. I don't know how to spell the word, pronounce the word. We see them as God, like personification of a god. But then these are nothing but they are energies. So these energies, they split into 2 in the causal level. In the subtle level, they are a little bit more complex. The energies try to mingle with each other in the subtle layer. And then we all are put into our own product, into different buckets. And then we are put into different parts of the world. And different families, that's where we choose our product. Like if we have to fulfill a product in this particular birth, in this particular family, that's where the Jivatma chooses its next birth. And this is like some of the pairs. So we have Harihara, which is a combination of Vishnu and Shiva, Soma and Agni. That's what. So Shiva is also known as Kala or time. So Mahakal, Kala Agni. And Soma is like each one of us, each jiva has got certain amount of Soma. So the pair is for every Soma there is an Agni, for every Agni there is a Soma. Yeah. And then there is also a pair of Ardhanarishwar, that is for every feminine energy, there is a masculine energy, therefore every masculine, there is a equivalent feminine energy as well. There is Indra and Agni pair, like Indra, like a king, and Agni, which, wants to uh, gallop everything. Agni is the fire. There are pairs like that. There are various other pairs as well. This pair, I really love this pair, which is the Ekapada, the Shiva Ekapada. That's what it's called. It's Shiva in middle. Ekapada means only one leg, if you see. There is Vishnu here and there is Brahma here. So what it is trying to say is the entire universe, which is Brahma, it's the energy of universe, creation of universe is Brahma, is the mix of Soma and also time, which is it gets created and then it gets destroyed as well, and then again it gets created. So the destruction part is Shiva, or the time, and what it is eating is Soma. So this concept, the Shiva Ekapada, these energy combinations are quite interesting to understand. This is again the different nakshatras. There's Ashwini, Bharani, Kritika, and each of these nakshatra have got a story associated with them, many stories associated with them. And the concept is like, if we have planets in these nakshatras and we go back into the stories that these nakshatras are associated with, we will find an association in our particular life, in our current life. For example, say somebody has got planets in, say, Shravana, which is the nakshatra of hearing. Yeah, and it is associated with the avatar, which is the Vamana avatar. When Vishnu came as Vamana avatar, and in 3 steps, he conquered the entire world. So if people have got planets in Shravana Nakshatra, one is that they have the ability to collect a lot of collective consciousness, that they can go to people, they will listen to a lot of people, and then they are able to gather a lot of collective consciousness and with the masses. And also there is like something to relate it with 3, like they will do this in 3 different steps. Like because the myth associated with Shravana is of Shiva, Vaman avatar, who conquered the world in 3 different steps. And also there is a concept of walking. So for example, Gandhiji has got his Ketu in Shravana Nakshatra, and we know like he did a Dandi march where he was walking. Yeah. And I think Subhash Chandra Bose, he had Sun in Shravana Nakshatra, where we know that he went from India to, he traveled a lot walking. He went via Afghanistan, he came to Europe. So there is a theme of walking as well. So we just need to understand behind each nakshatra, what is the stories behind them, and then we can have some association. And it's so fascinating that it works. It is, it's sometimes really interesting how exactly something that we thought of myth or mythology is actually working in our own, lifetime. And the whole concept about it is like, if you see that myth has happened, the Sharvana myth has happened when the sky was in Capricorn, like the moon was in Capricorn, say for example, and that's when he was born. So that means our life is getting affected of the sky of distant past. So that means those myths have also happened. I don't know if I'm able to explain it properly or not, but yeah. So those are the concepts. Shall I move forward, or do you have any questions, Sita?
No, I think it's just so interesting. I know that, of course, because there are like 27/28 nakshatras, I know that it would take a long time to go through the stories of each of them, but I'm sure that there are lots of sources where you can look to find out more about the stories of the nakshatras, so where you can
Yeah.
then see the patterns,
Yes.
how they may be related to you and
Yes.
your life when you look at
Yeah.
your charts. So I know, of course. What channels or sources would you recommend for people to
I
look at? I know
really
we
got
know about a couple.
fascinated
So
with Dr. Arjun Pai's channel and Eve Mendoza's channel. Um, they are amazing. Like their entire Pi team, they have done so much of study on nakshatras. Like on each nakshatra, they have got 3 to 4 hours of videos, and they have various videos, not just one. So it takes a lot of time to understand them, but it's fascinating. Once you start to understand the stories behind each nakshatras, you understand a little bit more about the Vedas as well. So that is why Vedic astrology is called the eyes of the Vedas. So to understand spiritual knowledge, one needs higher perception. As human beings, we have very little perception. We can only see 7 spectrum of light. We can't see beyond that. So our perception is very, very limited as human beings. But then to gain higher perception, this is one of the source, like astrology is one of the source, because it makes you curious to understand how exactly is this working. So you start to understand Vedas. So that is why it's called the eyes of the Vedas.
yeah, Jyotish. I know Jyotish means, it means it comes
The
from
light.
light,
Yeah.
light. Yeah. So, and also I know that's where my surname Joshi comes from.
Yes.
Like the
Yes.
Sanskrit word, and so and also oh, and I guess like, what you say about perception being limited. Of course, the Vedas said it, and even modern mainstream science, they say the same thing. That they said the same sort of thing, that it is true that our powers of perception, what we can, they're limited. Like animals can see and sense or hear certain things that we can't. Like say, they can sense when an earthquake is coming, or they and then they respond, or they react by fleeing or showing signs of distress, or dogs warning their owners and things.
Yes.
That's just
Yeah.
like a grief. Yeah, so there is something to it, of course. And I guess studying Jyotish or Vedic astrology, that's I know you said that's a route of trying to increase your perception, even if you may not physically be able to do that. I guess it's like a form of what is referred to as Gyan Yoga, or
Yes.
in the Bhagavad Gita. There are different ways of reaching that kind of enlightenment, or knowing the nature of reality of Brahman. So yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, and also like as Dr. David Frawley ji, he has put in Vedic astrology or Jyotish is the science of light and the eyes of Vedas. So it's a science of light. So and
Yeah.
light is used everywhere, like because sun, which gives us the light in this particular solar system, it's our Atmakaraka. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, so it's the light and it's the science. It's many people think that it's pseudoscience because we haven't deciphered the knowledge fully at the moment. But then once we do, we
Yeah.
will be amazed.
And it's also interesting. I know we're going to cover. I know we have planned to cover this in future lives. There's also a history as to why it's been termed as a pseudoscience,
Yes.
and why certain things have been forgotten, or have not been, or are not really easily deciphered by people today. So yeah, that's really interesting. And also, and I've also forgot to say that for those who don't know what Gyan Yoga means, it means the way of knowledge. So it's like through studying this. Strategy. That's one way of Gyan Yoga. So basically, through acquiring knowledge, or higher knowledge that makes you wise, that makes you understand, you know, um, the nature of reality and human nature, and all those things that yeah, the anything that elevates your consciousness,
Yes. Yeah.
knowledge that elevates it. It's
Yeah.
that's one
Yeah.
way of
It's
becoming
beautiful.
wiser.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, thank you, Alka. Yeah, please carry on.
I want to just touch base on Fibonacci sequence, what it is. So just very, very high level, if you just put one and then again put, because one is like there, so one and one. And then when you add one plus one, it becomes two. And then you put one and one as it is. Yeah. And then in the fourth row, you add one plus two, which becomes three. Two plus one, it becomes three. And you put one and one again. Yeah. And here you put 1 plus 3 as 4, 3 plus 3, 6, 3 plus 1, 4, and then again you just put 1 and 1 there. So this sequence is called Fibonacci sequence, yeah, or the fractals. And where did we see this? In Rig Veda, there are various instances where Fibonacci is mentioned. One of the main important ones being the Mahamrityunjaya mantra. I'm sure, like, I think I remember you telling me, like, you did the chant of 108 times of Mahamrityunjaya mantra. It might have introduced or spiked your curiosity a little bit more. But what that mantra means is, like, we sacrifice to a fragment and it tells us about a cucumber. Yeah. And if you see the video of that particular cucumber, it has got seeds inside it in a spiraling order in a Fibonacci sequence. And when the cucumber dies or falls off from the stem, what it does is it puts all these seeds on the ground in a fractal or a Fibonacci sequence, so that each seed has got more, probability or more chances of survival as a new plant. So this Fibonacci sequence is very, very important. If you see anywhere in nature, within human body, within the nakshatra, within the sky, everything has got its own fractals. You know, this is like the basic fractal, that example that I gave. But if we increase the number of numbers, we call them golden ratio, that is the ratio between the lower one divided by the higher one, the different fractals are different. So your birth chart is your fractal. My birth chart is my own fractal diagram. So if we do a diagram, each of us will have our own diagram. So each of the demigods or the gods, like Durga, has got their own fractal diagrams. So if you meditate on that particular, it's called yantra, if we meditate on that particular chart, what happens is we try to understand them a little bit more. We try to have their energy within us as well. So that is the concept of fractals. And I've also got this diagram of Earth and Venus orbits. If somebody drew the Earth and Venus, how they move in the solar system, you will get a different fractal or a different diagram altogether. So that's the concept of Fibonacci sequence, and Fibonacci is nothing but a way to explain infinity. So everything is not only happening in a sequence, in a circular manner, but it is happening in a fractal or a Fibonacci sequence. So that's what Vedas say. Are there any questions?
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
The laptop mouse was giving trouble in unmuting. Wow, I'm just absolutely mind blown by this. So this is the first time I've seen this diagram, like this triangular diagram of, in terms of Fibonacci sequence, in terms, the in mathematical terms. It's just wow. It's and of course what you were describing about the Venus and Earth orbit and the fractal that's drawn from there, it's just wow. I'm pretty I think I'm lost for words. I'm quite stunned. I mean, I know we've talked about it, but still,
Yeah,
it's
and the more
so
you
stunning.
start to understand the maths behind it, it just blows your mind. Like, how exactly is this happening again? So,
Yeah.
so if you see, this is like the birth chart, the static chart. And if you draw this, like where this lord is going, say 10th house, and if you draw all of this, the fractals here, and if you draw the dynamic chart and then you superimpose, you will find your own yantra, and that is the fractal of your particular birth chart. And my
Oh,
fractal, my diagram is different. The first slide where I had mentioned that no two individuals are same, each
yeah.
one of us is unique, because my fractal diagram is different than your fractal diagram because it's based on the planets which are moving continuously. And when
Wow.
you are born, the planets are completely different than when I was born. Even for twins, we think they are born in the same particular node. There is still some seconds difference, and that also changes their fractal diagram. So
Oh,
each one
yeah.
of us is very, very unique.
Yeah, and I guess that would explain why twins can often have different personalities from each other. They're not exactly the same, even though some twins may be identical, but then they are not exactly the same. And so it's just, wow, it's so fascinating. I mean, just a question I have is that I know when you look at a static chart, I know it makes up a yantra. So I'm sorry if you already said it and I missed it, but did how is it do you say it's the position of the planets in the chart or the orbit, like the dynamic chart or something? That how would your own individual yantra be drawn from your chart in terms of the positions of the planets? Or could you explain that again?
So you see, this is your static chart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not yours, but His Highness King Charles' chart.
Yeah,
So his first house, his Lagna Lord, is in 10th house. That is one of the sequence, one maths. Then his 10th house Lord, you see it's in Aries, and it's in Mars. That's again another root. And then Mars is in his own house. Yeah. And then we see Jupiter is exalted in his own house, so he will overcome his enemy because this is his enemy chart, like house as well. So he is like really powerful. And then you see like his fifth, like his son, ruler of Leo, is again in. So there are ways to draw this. So you get a diagram out of this.
Wow. So
Yeah.
who could you go? So who could you go to? Is there any other people who specialize in this sort of thing, or
No, this is still, I think, not me, but probably you should go to Dr. David Frawley and Pi team and others. So I think this is still, it's fascinating how so this particular thing is your yantra.
I see. So your own yantra or your own fractal would come from your own
From this
chart.
chart. And also, if you superimpose like from your birth till the end, where the planets have traveled, if you draw them as well, that again, if you superimpose that to that, you will get something similar to this superimposition. Like Earth and Venus, they superimpose, like their orbits superimpose upon each other like this. So you will get a very beautiful, mandala for yourself.
Wow. So it's just like when you think about it, again, I'm thinking in terms of microcosm of macrocosm, and it's that I don't care if people think that I'm
Yes.
that people are gonna. But honestly, like it's just I'm just so excited because I'm thinking of a snowflakes. Each individual snowflake
It's
has its own
different.
unique thing.
Yes.
And it's kind of a very similar
That's the
concept.
same concept. Yeah.
And just like you have your own in your physical body, each person has their own unique set of fingerprints or their own unique DNA.
Yeah.
It's just wow. It's I mean, I know I think the closest analogy to this would be the snowflake analogy, like to the
Yeah.
so fascinating. Like,
Yeah.
when it's like with snowfall, like when you think about snowfall, each individual snowflake falls, if you catch a snowflake, you look at it, you look at it under a microscope, it
Different.
has its own unique pattern, and
Yeah.
how, it's just a part of life, just part of
Yeah.
how it works. It will dissolve
Yes.
back,
Yeah.
to and it gets recycled. It's just so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's so interesting that I know
Yeah.
for me that, yeah, I know for people who aren't familiar with it, they'll think, what is she getting so excited about? But then I think,
Yeah, you have to get into like understanding a little bit like of it to get fascinated about
I
these
am
things.
just
Like the
so
first thing, yeah,
fascinated. I'm mind blown, and I'm just so excited. And this
like
is just so
yeah,
beautiful. I've learned
that's so
something new today that I did not know, that you could get your own yantra, your own
yes,
fractal from your own chart,
yeah,
from superimposition of the movements of planets to the end of that. It just, wow. And I
yeah.
just thought, snowflake, Hanadi, snowflake.
So each
Yeah.
of like Vedas say that no two individuals are the same because
Yes.
everything is moving. So the second part, everything in this universe is moving.
Yeah.
So that is why no individuals are same. So that is where this concept of our
Yeah.
own fractal diagrams is coming. And if you
Yeah.
see like each and every demigod or goddesses, they have got their own yantra. When it is on a paper, it is drawn. It is called as I think yantra, but then there is a 3D diagram as well where you can actually build. So Sri Yantra, for example, it could be drawn in a piece of paper, or there could be like a Mount Meru, the mountain that we saw
Yes.
here.
Yeah.
There you can have a 3D mountain, and then you can meditate upon that as well. So
Yes.
these are the concepts. And
Yeah.
there is a concept called as sonification. I can't pronounce it, but then it
Sorry,
is
how do you spell that?
I have to check the spelling, but basically what it means is like sound. Uh, One second.
No problem.
So Sonification.
Sonification.
Sonification, yeah. So
Okay.
basically, that is a study that scientists are currently doing. They are passing sounds in various fractals, say, for example, and each of them have got, they give out sound. So, when we say mantras, they are
Yes.
nothing but the sound which has been passed through various fractal diagrams.
Yes, and I know when I know that digressing a little, but it is related, I feel, because obviously, mantras, in the Vedic tradition, they're all in Sanskrit, and Sanskrit itself is such a scientific language because of the and you have the Parani Sutras, which I'm thankful to Mr. David Stoller, who's my Sanskrit guru. I know he went through them. I know that I still don't have as deep an understanding of them as he does, but it's I had classes with him, and there's a whole again, there's a whole logic to it's just so scientific, and also so at the same time so fascinating. It almost has a mystical quality about it, like so then obviously through the Sanskrit letters of the alphabet, you have the words, and then those words make up the mantras, and it's just and
Yeah.
it's all interconnected. It's
Yes.
just it's just absolutely wonderful. And I know that sonification, I know it's to do with sound and mantras, but I'm thinking of when I'm looking at these fractals and all these things, and you can stop me if this isn't similar, but I'm thinking of this study. I know it was termed as a pseudo-scientific study, but it was a study by, you probably know of this, by Dr. I'm probably not pronouncing his first name correctly, Dr. Emoto, or Dr. Masaru Emoto, when he looked at how uh, the effects of saying different words with positive and negative meanings, how they impacted the water particles and the shape of the particles. So when people said, when they put words with positive meanings on a piece of paper and put it in the water,
Yeah.
then and they saw that the shapes of the water molecules were very beautiful, like almost like snowflakes. They had beautiful geometric patterns.
Yeah.
But the water particles, the particles of the water in which pieces of paper words with negative meanings were placed, their shape was entirely different. It was quite distorted, or it's like the water responded. And I know it's all linked with how you say that, how in the part 1 of this series you said that everything has consciousness according to the Vedas. So it all seems to fall in line with that. So I don't know whether this sonification is a similar thing to
it's
this
the same
experience.
thing. So sonification is nothing but what we call as mantra meditation. So when for example, say Kalima has got her own fractal diagram, which is her birth chart, say, for example. If sound is put into her, there is a mantra that is coming out of that. That mantra, if somebody hears, that is mantra meditation. Yantra is nothing but meditating on that particular diagram, either 3D or 2D on the paper. Tantra is when you are actually, activating your Kundalini based on that particular fractal of hers. So that in Kundalini awakening, you go from your physical level, you go to your subtle level, right? In that subtle level, if you are meditating on her, you activate her energy, and then she takes you from subtle level to understand the causal level. And everybody should understand their causal level, because that's where the happiness amount is equivalent to Paramananda, which is equivalent to what Brahman experiences. The happiness that we experience every day in our deep sleep when we don't have any dreams. So that is where it goes. So that is why, yantra meditation, tantra, as well as mantra, these are all connected.
Wow. And you're saying that is it mainstream scientists or mainstream science that's looking at sonification?
Mainstream science is looking at sonification. So what exactly is happening is they are looking at those stars, they're putting sounds to them, and then they are receiving sound back from them. So they know that particular planet is doing a particular sound. That is based on their fractals. So if the sound is passed into Venus, when it comes back to Earth, this is the fractal.
Very interesting.
So they will have a particular sound. And, all these ancient sa, re, ga, ma, pa, la, like the ancient music.
Yes, classical
Indian music, they're all based on fractals.
Wow, it's just amazing. And how different rags
different rags and everything, they're all based on fractal.
Yes, and even mantras, like, well, I know for those who use mantras to pacify, like planets, for trying to reduce negative effects, it's to say, I guess, since you say that sonification was about sending out sounds to specific stars and getting it's a similar thing then, to the mantras that people would chant for trying to appease planets, or to try to reduce effects of certain planets. It's just well, it's just so interesting. And yes, with rags, I know sound, it's just how the rags are, how there's a multitude, it seems like a seemingly infinite multitude of rags for various moods, or for even various seasons or times of the day. And they even, and I know some people will call it myth, but then there are rags that there are certain rags that are meant to bring about rainfall, or that can create heat in your body. That there was a story of how during the time of Mughal Emperor Akbar, Tansen, who was a singer in his court, there's a story that says that he sang, upon the request of Akbar, with a lot of reluctance, he sang Deepak Rag. I think he rang Rag Deepak. I think it was called Rag Deepak or Rag Deepak. I'm probably, oh goodness, my music guru would probably be angry with me if I'm getting the name wrong. But then, I think it was Rag Deepak or that he sang. He sang a rag that created a lot of heat in his body. I think it created so much heat in his body. And not only heat in his body, apparently it caused unlit lamps to be lit. And I think his daughters, in order to, he fell ill because of that, and so I think he was quite critically ill. So his daughters had to sing, I think it was rag. They had to sing a rag that would bring about rains, bring about rains to cool.
Was it make?
Rag Meg, or is it rag? Meghna, I'm terrible.
Okay.
I'm probably not
Yeah.
saying it correct. I'm not probably
So
not pronouncing it.
that is so fascinating because every color, like there are 64 types to understand Vedas as well. You know, Vedic astrology is like one, like
Yeah.
classical music is another one where it gives you, things or makes you curious to understand Vedas because it's based on all these Vedic theories. Even classical Indian dance is another way to understand, say, all these stories, which we call myths. And so
Oh,
everything that we did in ancient India, like all these 64 categories of kala or arts, there are 64 types. These are all to understand Vedas.
we should cover this in another life. I
Yes,
think we should.
this is
It's
another,
just there's
yeah.
cover, and it's all interconnected. That's the beauty of it.
Yes,
It's just
yeah.
everything.
Everything and everything is connected, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with classical Indian music and classical Indian dance, they go together. Because then the classical Indian musicians, the dancers, you have the tal, you have the rugs, you have the you know the styles or grands of Kathak. You have well, not just Kathak, but all 8 forms of Indian classical dance and the stories that they tell.
Yeah,
And it's just so
yeah,
fascinating that dance can elevate your consciousness or your state, and it uplifts the energy of a room.
yeah,
And I know that
yeah,
according to Vedic belief, you attract positive energy, or deities, whatever you want to call them.
yeah.
They and classical music has that similar uplifting effect. It elevates your consciousness or elevates your frequency, your mood, or
Yes,
your consciousness,
yeah,
and it brings you to a higher state, where you feel
yeah,
peaceful, you feel blissful.
yes,
So yeah, it's
yeah.
just so fascinating.
And
It's everything's
yeah,
interconnected. Yeah.
just to add to, I think one of things that you mentioned previously, which I found very interesting as well, where Vedas say that Prarat Karma is definitely going to happen, no matter who you are. But then when you understand Jyotish, it gives you, ways, when we say remedies, what it means is like it has to happen. So you just let it happen. For example, a product karma, somebody, a very good astrologer, not all astrologers are good. That is another thing that we will discuss in some other. But then if you go to an astrologer who actually understands how it is like part of psychology as well. And he sees that a particular person has got, say, 2 marriages. So the thing is, it will definitely happen, the product karma says, but then it doesn't say whom you will marry. So, say a lot of people, therefore, you will see in India, married to a tree first, and then married to someone. So that is, they are actually not, deviating from their product. They still married 2 people, like 2 eyes, but then the first one was the tree. So
Hmm.
the product happens, but then it gives you a wisdom or intellect to cross that product.
Yeah, wow. That's it's just so fascinating. It explains some things, because also trees have life as well and
Yes.
consciousness.
Yeah.
And as we discussed that, kind of there was
Yeah.
Boson, the other European
Yeah.
scientist who we talked about last week, where they
Yes.
found that plants have consciousness. So that they gave off emotional reactions of fear when there was an intent to harm them. That's an interesting one to look into. Yeah,
Sure.
that's just so interesting. And also and yeah, and going back to how things are interconnected, I mean, even, like rugs are, people say that rugs are connected with the different chakras. And I guess even when dance, there's the acupressure points, that you hit all the acupressure points in your feet. So that's good for
Yes.
getting that physical kind of balance in your body, and that,
Yeah.
can remove blocks,
Yes.
from your chakras, your energy centers, or your meridians, or
Yeah.
what you call, is it called? I'm terrible at remembering the pronunciation. Is it Nadis or Nuddies?
Nadis.
Oh,
Yeah. So
Nadis.
nadi is
Okay,
nothing,
okay.
but these 3 nadis that we talk about, the
Yeah,
Ida, the Pingala, and the Shushumna. These are the 3 nadis.
yeah,
These are the
Nadis.
chakras. And
Yeah,
then there is also a study of people can actually look at you. There are astrologers who can do like face reading or body language readings because they can actually see the entire birth chart on you directly.
amazing.
So
That's
I
is
have
that
met,
some,
yeah.
is that something that they develop? Is that something that they develop through? spiritual practice, like
Through a lot
meditating,
of
or
spiritual practice, actually, because it requires a person to read a lot of people's chart. And
yeah,
then once you have done, like, say, for everyone it's different, because Vedas say everyone is different. And it also comes from your past life. So for example, you have done a billion charts from infinite birth time till this birth. You have read a billion charts. It gives you a psychic ability to understand
yeah,
face reading as well. So you say, like, like certain people, like, I think there was a lady in Bulgaria who was blind, but then she had the psychic power to predict
yeah.
the future. So there are a lot of psychics who develop this power, and this power is not of that particular birth. It is of infinite lifetimes, or the product that they are bringing from previous birth. And that
Wow.
gives you an ability or a psychic power to face read, to understand. And the concept is, like, on your body, even on your face, you can see the entire birth chart without the details, and you can
Wow.
predict. Yeah.
And I guess I know in terms of your prarabdha karma affecting like your body, I know that the ascendant is like about what you look like physically and what your body is like. So I guess maybe it's it they read that, and of course through their own spiritual practice. And I know of course you have practitioners of other where you have others, people with other sorts of abilities, people who can read auras, or they can see the colors of your aura, and they develop that, through it's pretty amazing ability, and it's uh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just so fascinating, really
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, yeah,
You have
yeah,
few more pictures that I
yeah,
wanted
yeah,
to
please
share
carry on,
with
so
you.
carry on.
So this is, like, again, the picture of Rahu Ketu from 1800s, where the gentleman, he published in Paris, where you can see the concept of the Ouroboros, or the Rahu Ketu over here. You see, like, humans have got only two eyes or less perception, but then there is a third psychic ability that they can develop via, activating this Kundalini energy. And as above, so below is another concept in Vedas, where you see whatever is happening in the sky is also happening within you, inside your body. So that is why all of us, everyone, and everything is connected. So whatever changes is happening in the sky is directly affecting humanity. And that is why this is another wonderful concept that I found. And there's another concept called as, inside us, like all the nadis that are there. The Ketu energy goes from top to our Muladhara, and the Rahu energy goes from Muladhara towards upwards. So when we are breathing consciously, we are activating, like, inside, we are activating our Ketu, and when we are exhaling, we are activating our Rahu. So this cycle. So our breathing is also very, very important to, do the new karma or the Kriyaman karma. So Kriya Yoga is nothing but to, practice perfect breathing, because your breath and your mind are directly connected.
Yes, it's like there's this pranayam, like there's the example of Anulom Vilom. That's meant to. I heard that. I know one of my
Yeah.
mentors, my Reiki and meditation teacher. She said that it's meant to be good for balancing your Ida and Pingla.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Nothing but
that's
these chakras. So you see, like, after Samudra Manthan, we came from a different dimension, and we are stuck on earth, and we are going round and round, birth after birth, and we are not able to go back to our source. And that's because the Rahu Ketu are in play. So if we don't, we in every birth we are obsessed about something, we are detached from something. But then if we don't activate these two energy, that sleeping coil within us, if it doesn't gets activated, and if we don't understand Vedas, then it gets really tough to get out of that particular little fractal that we have.
yeah, really interesting. And I guess pranayama is like life. Prana is life, and oh goodness, I can't remember what I am. What that's the second part of the word means, but it's yeah, I know, of course, it is essentially translates to breathing exercise, but yeah, it is yeah, it is connected because it's it's life, and it's a balancing force, like, you know, breathing and having to breathe
Yeah.
correctly would affect your state of mind. That's why you feel calmer. And so yeah, it would be good for balancing your energies within yourself, and you think a bit more clearly and become more mindful in
Yeah.
that sense. So it's yeah, it is entirely plausible, I feel. And yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, no, thank you. Thank you. Please carry on.
Yeah, we think that this is all just Vedic concepts, something from the past, but then we see Rahu Ketu everywhere. Like now, if you go outside and you will find Rahu Ketu like literally everywhere. This is Bank of England, their door. You will see like two Ida Pingla and Sushumna Nadi. You see this? So it is on Bank of England's doorways. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And you go to Egypt, you will find the snake eating its own tail, even in Egypt. Yeah. In people's door, you will find this. There is a story called as I think there was a lion which was made out of Shiva, and the lion ate itself. So Shiva gave him a like boon that whoever puts you in front of their door, there will be prosperity. So if you see a lot of people in England as well, they have this door, on their doors. Like there's a lion and there's a Ouroboros, like a Rahu Ketu, like it's eating itself.
Oh goodness. We had one of these. I don't know whether we still have it.
See, I told you, you didn't know about it. So,
I did not know this. Yeah.
and it was also used in alchemy as well. You see in white magic, black magic, even that was used because the concept is the same in both sides. Like you have to either activate it to get yourself enlightened, or you have to, if for enemies, like they just make it dormant so that they are not enlightened. So you see, when Vedic knowledge is taken away, it becomes dormant, and this is sleeping. It's not activated. When Vedic knowledge is imparted, and when you get like a little bit of curiosity to understand it more, it slowly gets activated. But then you have to have a proper guru to activate it. That's another thing.
Yeah.
And this is, and you see, like East India Company in 1600s when it was formed. Like after that, they had this diagram on their offices in London, and you see this Ida Pingla, and this is like of Mercury. So Mercury and Rahu, Ketu, and Saturn, they're all like, all these planets are connected. But you see, like there is things over here. And this is from Greek mythology, where the Saturn is in his chariot. So Saturn works on human beings with two snakes, which is Rahu and Ketu. Rahu and Ketu are always denoted as snakes. One is obsession and one is the detachment. And it is like if all Rahu Ketu of every individual is bundled together, it becomes collective consciousness.
Wow.
So,
It's just
and that is how Saturn does the work. So you see, Saturn is the karma karaka. So for example, Saturn came into particular zodiac just at the end of 2019, somewhere. And then the thing was like, it had to do something related to, and the Rahu Ketu's placement were such that they had to do something to do with medical related, like flu or influenza, that kind of. And that is what has happened. So the karma was like the collective consciousness karma, Saturn, was to perform through the collective consciousness of Rahu and Ketu. So,
wow. It's just so fascinating, the link between Saturn and Rahu and Ketu. This is so fascinating, and also with the Greek mythology, I know that the signs of the actual zodiac signs, the 12 signs. I think if you can correct me if I'm wrong, they actually originated from ancient Greece. Is that right? That and it was brought to
Well,
India.
my guru used to say that the entire world used to be Vedic at one point of time, and then slowly everywhere people started forgetting for various reasons. We won't go to the reasons, but then, but because this, when a person dies, everything material gets detached, but anything that you remember spiritually, that goes to the next birth. So we
Yeah.
subconsciously, even if you have seen this diagram for the first time, you subconsciously know that this is there because in some of your previous life, you have got this knowledge. It's just a spark that you need in this lifetime to remember everything.
Yeah, that's why you have these aha moments and
Yes.
stuff. Yeah, and sorry, it's of course I did think that perhaps the zodiac signs were from India, but then I got a bit confused when some people saying, "Oh no, they used the nakshatra system and it was actually from Greece." And I thought, okay, I don't know which one is true, but then yeah, it definitely makes sense. I mean, it's fascinating how of course India that we know, or Bharat, where you had a lot of great thinkers, of course it's all from the Vedic period, all from the knowledge of the Vedas, but then it's also fascinating how even the ancient Greeks, how they had similar kind of concepts.
Yes,
Who knows
I
whether
did
they
once.
may have just
Same.
got it unconsciously from a previous lifetime, or whether
No,
it
the
traveled
thing
from
is,
to
for
Greece. I don't
example,
know.
Vedas is
It's
something
just
that was heard from the sky.
yeah.
So it's not only we have heard it from India, right? It could
Yeah,
have been heard from
yeah,
somewhere else as well. So everyone
yeah,
would have like we don't know about. There's a lot that we don't know, but then there is so much
yeah. I think
similarity.
you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it may well be that it's not just India that has these concepts. And oh goodness, I know some people are probably gonna kill me if they hear me saying this. I'm not wanting this to become political.
No,
Please don't
I
kill
mean,
me.
my guru used to say that the entire world used to be Vedic, but systematically different parts forgot Vedas. But then
Yeah,
that's the thing about Vedas. There's a concept that everything has to go through this rebirth. So even knowledge, once it imparts everything, even it dies, and then a new seed forms of knowledge. You see, this
yeah,
30 years that we are going through, like this decade onwards, that is the seed that will be sown in the on earth astrologically, that will give rise to a new understanding of Vedas. There's a lot that
yeah,
we didn't know about, like from Vedas that our ancients knew, but we forgot. But then this seed of this 30 years will enhance humanity to understand, re-understand Vedas again. So even knowledge
yeah,
had to do this reincarnation.
yeah. And it's just so fascinating how people that of course the people from various parts of the world, whether it be India, ancient Greece, or Mesopotamia, Babylon, Egypt, ancient Egypt, or the Native Americans, how they all had such even the ancient Chinese, that how they had very similar. They I don't know about the Native Americans, but I know definitely like with the ancient Chinese and the ancient Egyptians, the Mesopotamians, and the Mayans. They all had this interest in the sky. Like in the stars. I
Everyone
know we
was
talked about it. Yeah,
fascinated about, like obsessed
yeah,
about the
and
sky.
so I guess that kind of shows that how what we call Vedic knowledge came in different forms. Like it's kind and I guess it's all linked with what is referred to, as the collective unconscious. The collective unconscious, as termed by Carl Jung, and and then there's the Akashic records as well. And
Mhm.
so there's just and akasha means ether. That's the translation of it from Sanskrit to
Mhm.
English. So that perhaps maybe these people either intuitively, with or without realizing it, they tapped into this kind of ideas. And you have even about dreams. I'm remembering my studies of psychology, how
Yes.
how scientists or authors, scientists came up with ideas of inventions, or authors came up with ideas of stories, of
Yeah.
really
It's
through their
nothing but
dreams. I think,
your subtle body is activated, you see.
yeah,
And these grahas are also having happening in subtle layer. So that is why dreams also, give you a lot of premonition about something that is happening or going to happen. If you are consciously dreaming and have a dream journal, you will understand a lot that is going to happen because it is subtly telling you. So it's all about the three bodies that we discussed previously. So in your subtle body, the dreams, in your dream state, the subtle body is activated. And all these grahas, the 27 nakshatras and the 12 zodiac, all these are in the subtle layer. You see this diagram that this gentleman drew from India? So
yes.
this is happening in subtle layer where these zodiacs and everything is formed. And we are just the physical layer where Maya is active. So we don't remember any of this.
Yeah. Oh wow, it's really intriguing. It's
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Please go on.
Do we still have time? Shall I go forward?
Well, I think we've about 2 hours of lapsed. So, I mean, I find this so fascinating. I don't know about the audience, but
If you wish,
I
I can
certainly
carry
agree.
on.
Yeah. How many more slides are there?
Good question. Only these many.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah. You can
Okay, I'll just tell like high level of each.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's
so
up to you. I mean, if you want, you can take as much time as you want to go through them, or if you feel that how are you feeling in terms of energy level, like
I'm always energetic. It's up to you. Like if you can
Oh yes.
gather more. Like I
Yeah,
don't want to overload you with information, but if you're okay, then I can.
Oh no, I'm fine. Yeah, no,
Okay,
I'm
cool.
absolutely fine. You know what? You know what? Carry on is fine. I can always split this into two parts or whatever.
Okay,
And I mean,
okay,
yeah, carry on. It's fine.
cool.
Yeah.
So Vedas have said us like there are four stages of sound. Yeah. Vedas are Shruti, which is it was heard from the Akash, like from somewhere else. It is just the sound manifestation of Brahman. You know, the ultimate reality, its sound have been written by our sages as Vedas. And sounds are of four types as per Vedas. One is para, pashyanti, madhyama, and vaikhari. Sorry if my Sanskrit is not, Sanskrit pronunciation is not right. So the first sound is in prana. Yeah. The second sound manifests in our mind. The third type of sound, it manifests in our indriyas. Indriyas is our sense organs. And the fourth sound is what we articulate as expression. You see, like the expression that I am, like we are talking, like spelling. Spellings has come from a word spells. You see, it was used as spells before. So this, to articulate expression, it's we are only doing the fourth type. We have no clue how this is getting manifested in indriyas, how that is getting again manifested in our mind, and again how that is manifested in our prana. So these three require a different kind of substance called as soma to expand our level of consciousness to understand these three other stages of sound. So how did our sages actually write down, like, if these are sound manifestation of Brahma, this must be happening even now, even as we speak, but we are not able to hear them. So they use this substance in our ancients all across the world, not only in India. They used various substances which would elevate them to understand the other types of voices, and they were able to document these Vedas all across the globe. But I think it was about 6,000 years ago where the climate changed and this substances got extinct. Yeah. But after that, our sages found that these substances could be automatically produced in a human body via meditation. So there are various meditation techniques to develop soma automatically instead of being dependent on external substances. But long story short, what these substances do is they make you they expand your perception so that you also hear other forms or other stages of sound, which is manifested in prana, which is manifested in mind, which is manifested in indriyas. But currently we can only understand how we are articulating our expression. So that is why there are various concepts, various Vedic concepts. When I explain to someone, I'm not able to explain it completely because it's getting lost in translation. You see, because our our form of expression is through just few languages. There are various other perception that we require to understand others. Is this a bit clear?
So yes, so this substance that's in the picture, that got extinct through climate change, and this was used by our ancestors before
Yes, yeah. So
wow.
there is a beautiful book. If I go back to my guru's slide, there is a book written by Mr. Major General Dr. G.D. Bakshi sir on Soma, where he has explained in depth what the substance means and how it got extinct, and then how it can be developed automatically via meditation in our own body. But if you see, like, and all the excavations of, say, Mesopotamian civilization, Egyptian civilization, Saraswati Valley civilization, everywhere people used to trade these substances before this climate change.
Wow.
So there was a world trade that used to happen. And if you see, like, what we currently know as Homa,
Yeah.
it is actually nothing but the play of this Soma on Agnis. So they were doing that to understand some knowledge from the sky and document them. So
Could
there
you
were,
explain what Homa is? What that means?
you know, where people do homas, yajnas, that
Yes, yes.
what we call now. So these, we are just using, I think, butter, clarified butter or ghee in today's yajnas. But previously, before, when these substances were active or were not extinct, they were using these substances. So if you see a lot of shamanic rituals, they used to prepare these substances there, they used to drink it, and then they used to understand other forms of perception, other voices or other sounds, and they used to document them. So Vedas are nothing but something that has been heard, Shruti.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, and because I know that without I know I'm not naming names or anything, but there's I'm just being matter of fact that nowadays there's divisions, in terms of where some people are wanting to explore these ideas of trying cacao ceremonies, and you know um ayahuasca and those sort of substances. They look to shamanic traditions, and then there are some who say that no, that's not good. You're kind of relying on substances, or this isn't, like, in line with the traditional way, and this is wrong. And
Yeah.
no, I'm not judging anybody at all. Like,
No,
I wasn't
no.
really
I mean,
sure
everyone is correct at
myself,
their
but
own stages, because we don't know 100% what is right and what is wrong, because currently there are also chemical drugs which are really harmful for our body.
yes,
And there are also natural drugs which can actually elevate your perception. So if somebody doesn't have the full Vedic knowledge, you don't know what they are having, right? So it's better
yeah.
not to try either of
Yeah,
them.
better not to. Yeah, I
Yes.
know. I know. That never really has tried. I mean, yeah, I did try cacao. I know cacao is more of a natural substance. It's from the cocoa beans, but no, I didn't really. Yeah, I did. But since you say that you can produce this som naturally through meditation techniques, then I know
Yeah.
it's probably safer to do that. Of course, not that there's anything not that I'm saying there's anything wrong, with everyone has different paths to take. I mean, as long as you do your research and you're careful of what you're doing, it's like the
yeah.
what the shamanic traditions follow,
Yeah.
that's also another way.
And the
And
second thing is
yeah,
like you
it's
have to
just
be really
but
careful because
you do,
once
yes.
you take those substances, your Kundalini awakens. You know, the sleeping serpent that is in your
Yeah,
Muladhara
I think
chakra?
it's better to err on the side of caution. I know
Yeah,
I'm more of the cautious type,
yes.
and I'm
And
not passing
if
judgment on
your
anybody like who
energy,
thinks differently. Yeah, yeah,
exactly, yeah, if your energy
yeah.
is not activated, then you're attracting negative forces in your life. If you don't know about
Yeah,
Vedas, if you have not done enough meditation on your favorite deities, you're not attracting them. They won't be helping you to, go to causal
yeah,
level. You
yeah,
might be attracting a negative entity. You see, like a lot of people accidentally when they, activate this Muladhara or their Kundalini, some of them go into deep depression. Some of them go into, they become schizophrenic. There are various different types. It's
yeah,
nothing but the Kundalini has been awakened, but then they don't know where to channelize these energies. And
yes.
yeah,
Yeah, so I know it's a matter of, I know even people who talk about things like ayahuasca, and I'm not saying that I'm recommending that kind of thing, but I know even people who would talk about trying that, they would say, oh, you have to be very emotionally or spiritually strong,
oh,
if you
yes,
are to
yeah,
take that kind of thing. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And
but
the same with Tantra as well, because currently there is a misconception that Tantra is just sex and everything. But then
uh,
what it is related to is like because the Muladhara chakra is based in the genitals, it is just to activate this energy and then get spiritually enlightened. But then there is techniques, and you can only like a lot of people can do them that with their spouse if both of them are equally enlightened or whatever. But then so there are different routes like the mantra route, the yantra route, as well as the tantra route, and these all happened after these substances got extinct. So instead of depending on these substances, our sages documented that there are other methods that the soma could be naturally produced via these three routes: the mantra meditation route, the yantra meditation route, or the tantra route. So there are various
okay.
schools to
Yeah, it's interesting though how the looking at when you really dig deep into history, you see parallels between different cultures, that what we may think of as shamanic was actually practiced at one point of time, like by
Mm,
uh people in Vedic civilization when these substances were available. But at the same time, it's so fascinating how you can produce that naturally through these three methods that you've mentioned.
mm,
It's kind of nice that how and I know it's sort of part of that when how do you say that? I don't want you have that when you look into these things, you become transcendental in your understanding. You kind of suspend, you let go of judgment, and you say
yes.
that, okay, like there are various different ways. Okay, like some way maybe for some, and
Yeah.
other ways are for others, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, you
So what does
it's
spiritual enlightenment do, as you said, mentioned correctly, that it let goes of these few things. Like it let goes of your fear, it let goes of your guilt, your shame, your grief, your lies, your illusion, your earthly attachments. That's what ultimately it is doing.
yeah, and it's like and when you let go of these kind of polar these of duality, you rise above duality, and duality also includes attraction and aversion. Even when you rise above the gunas, like you rise above
Mm.
sattva, rajas, and tamas.
Yeah.
The goal of meditation, or those who want to attain moksha, they want to get to that elevated state of enlightenment. You rise above these things because they talk of Shiva, or as being indifferent to both good and bad. And not that you it's not to say that you don't do your duty or your dharma. It's not that you don't do what is meant to be the right thing, but you have that sense of you have that sense of detachment. At the same time, you it's a form of spiritual elevation in that sense. You kind of see, okay, this is the nature of reality. There's duality, various things that kind of clash with each other, and you rise above these things. Even in the Gita, it's talked about as well, that you
Yeah.
you rise above these things.
Yeah.
So you do what you follow your path. You follow, you do whatever's right, then you have that kind of state within you as well. It's just so interesting, and I'm kind of feeling that maybe something like that you get
Yeah.
from learning about this history that we've just talked about, like how
Yes.
to get
Yeah.
soul in these different
Yeah.
ways. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I understand some people may disagree, but this is the kind of the thoughts that are running through me right now.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's fascinating because, like when Maharaji used to say that the entire world was Vedic, and then Vedas part by part everybody forgot, or it's just there in your subconscious mind. If you see like shamans, they used to what they used to do is like these red mushrooms. They used to grow under pine trees, so they have a symbiotic relationship with the pine tree, and they used to take these mushrooms because these are poisonous if you eat them like straight away. They had some recipe, some secret recipes, those shamans in Siberia. They used to hang these on the trees, and then they used to, I think, feed the reindeers, and the reindeers pee they used to drink, because that is the distilled or the clear form to get high, or to have these higher perception. So these concepts have subconsciously there. If you see today's Christmas tree concept, the shaman, the Santa Claus, always wears a red and white. You see, it's a shaman. It's a shaman from Siberia. The pine tree is now the Christmas tree, and Christmas tree, we put like the red balls and everything. That is nothing but the red mushrooms, which has got the dots. So it has all stayed back in subconscious memory.
And you talked about reindeer as well, and drinking
And
reindeer
reindeer
pee.
as well. Yeah.
Oh
And
my goodness.
yeah.
And there's that image that you talked of when, Santa and the reindeer that are flying into the sky in
Flying to
front of
the
the moon,
sky, yes,
It's
and
so,
follow the moon. So these are all subconsciously humans. As humans, we have remembered from our past, or past sanchit karma or products. We have remembered that. So these are these concepts, and when we talk about higher perception, Indra is always said to have 100 eyes, or higher perception than humans, because of 100 eyes. And Indra, in his very, very, very previous birth, he was Varuna. Varuna has got 1,000 eyes. So, and we humans, we have only 2 eyes, and we have a third eye, which is sleeping because of the Rahu Ketu coil is sleeping. But then we can activate that, and our third eye is the eye of our psyche, or our psychic ability, opens up, because if we want to increase our perception. So that's that. And Vedas, there are two kinds of knowledge. One is apara vidya, is mentioned in Vedas, like all the material knowledge, like about the science, how to build the aircraft, how to build nuclear weapons, and all sort of material knowledge is there in Vedas, which is called as apara vidya. And there is also paravidya in Vedas, which is like the spiritual knowledge, like this knowledge of the supernatural, the knowledge of, say, Varuna, the knowledge of Indra. So these are all para, which is like paranormal uh, in English. And Jyotish is nothing but a bridge between para and aparavidya. So how you, in your material world as a physical body, how your material body is linked to your past lives, and how it is going to be in your future lives, that's the bridge. That is the Jyotish. That's what Sri K. and Rao used to always say, that Jyotish is a beautiful bridge between the para, that is the paranormal, and the apara, the physical body, the current birth. Do you have any questions so far, Atul?
wow, it's a beautiful quote by Sri K. and Rao ji. Absolutely, about Jyotish being the bridge between the para and the apara. It just makes so much sense because, I feel that, knowledge of Jyotish, like even if you don't want to learn about these other concepts of the Ved, I feel that people would benefit, from knowing about Jyotish, being open to it, because if they were to look at their own chart, then really understand. They'll know they'll have an idea of what the purpose of their birth is. If they're not sure what their purpose is, it's good to give them some clarity. Of course, they have free will, of course, everyone does,
Yeah.
but then it would help them understand why you may have to go through certain things, because the stars and the grahas or upagrahas, they're like the algorithms of karma, prarabdha karma, that's and so then you kind of you have that bridge between the super, the para and apara knowledge that you mentioned, like the supernatural knowledge and the knowledge that you'd have for your own personal gains. I mean, well, it's you'd have to go through your karma, as you said, but then you can also use the knowledge of Jyotish to, try to, where your free will comes in, how you can make the best use of your lifetime, how you can, make certain gains, not in a bad sense, not through dishonorable means, but through honorable means you can pursue, what you desire, what you feel is in alignment with what your true self is, or what you want to do in this lifetime.
Exactly.
Yeah, and apara, this the material knowledge. I mean, you talk about nuclear weapons and science. It's just, oh wow, I wish I could get into that. I know it would take a lot of time, but just touching on it. There's what so-called fringe history, like where they talk about how how nuclear weapons may have been used in ancient history. I mean, when you look at the Mahabharata and how certain astras were used, they talk about vimans, that or vimanas, the flying machines. They're talked about in the Ramayana and also in Mahabharata. That how it's just so fascinating. And even and evidence of certain evidence that suggests that this may have been true and not just a myth is that there are sculptures that there are certain temples, I think in the south of India, if I'm not wrong, and I wish I could remember his name. Oh, I feel terrible, I've forgotten his name. He's I know that he had a video about the Fibonacci sequence.
Praveen Mohan, yes. Praveen Mohan, yes.
Praveen Mohan,
he has done amazing work, yes.
Yeah, that is in his channel, Praveen Mohan's channel, that he there are videos where I was so fascinated when I watched them a few years ago, that he where there are actually temples where there are actual sculptures, there are carvings showing UFOs, depicting UFOs, and so and also I can't remember, but there was some passage. Oh goodness, I can't remember from where. I don't know whether it was from the Mahabharata or whether it was from another scripture, but I think it was from one of our ancient scriptures. People say that there was some excerpt translated from Sanskrit to English. It talked about people's skin turning dark, or turning black, and nails and hairs falling out, and so I think it was on the History Channel where in a documentary people were saying that those what was being described sounded very similar to symptoms of radioactive poisoning from nuclear weapons, and it was talking about how there was some blast, and it's just so interesting. I know I've read about it, and I knew the terms but then I'll have to remember them. Maybe for the next talk I can mention it. I have the books, and I have these books on my shelf that I read, and so I have to look again and make sure I say the right term, but it's just so interesting. Yeah, but sorry, I don't want to go off on too much of
that's so fascinating that you have so much of knowledge about all of these, and you are taking so much of interest at this young age. So that is like really a blessing.
Oh, thank you. I mean, you're so knowledgeable yourself. I mean, it's just I'm just learning. Like I'm still, there's just so much more for me to learn, and I'm just so mind blown, and so amazed by how much you know. And it's, as I know, just like on our phone conversations, this conversation has gone like for a long time. Although I'm enjoying it so much, but please carry on.
Okay. I'll quickly do this. Okay, we have spoken about Brahman, the Jiva, and the Maya. These three are eternal. But Brahman, there are different energies of gods, energies of Brahman, which is one is Antaranga Shakti. Brahman has got Bahiranga Shakti, and the third one is Tatastha Shakti. what that is like the internal potency, the external energy, and also all jivas, living entities like all of us. We are also Shakti of Brahman. So these are like the three energies of Brahman. And the Antaranga, like the internal potency energy, that is again subdivided into various parts. One is called as Sandhini Shakti. It has got the quality of Sat. The Sambit Shakti, it is called Chit, uh, which is full of knowledge. That's what it means. And the third one is Ladini Shakti. H is silent here. And that is nothing but bliss. So what Sat, Chit, Anand is, Sat means eternal, Chit means full of knowledge, Vedic knowledge, and Ladini is Ananda or bliss. So when we say Sat Chit Ananda, it is part of the Antaranga Shakti of Brahman, the ultimate reality. There are other energies, that is Bahiranga Shakti as well as Tathastha Shakti. And all these Shaktis are again subdivided into 64 parts, 64 yoginis, or 64 feminine parts, and also Aja Ekpata. So if you go, I don't know if you have ever visited a Chaussity Yogini temple in India. There are very few left at the moment. One is, if you can go to Stonehenge as well, I believe like that is also part of this energy points as well. But what Chaussity Yogini temples are, one is in Orissa, one is near Jabalpur in Madhya Pradesh. And even I think the older Indian parliament architecture is based on these energy channels. So these energies can be divided into 64 types, 64 feminine types. And these Yogini temples have got Aja Ekpada, which is this concept. And the Soma magic mushroom, the divine mushroom of immortality, Ajab Ekapada is associated with this mushroom. Because if you see, he is like a mushroom with one leg. So the deeper concepts of Vedas is like living beings or humans or all the living beings came from some other planets as a form of mushroom first, like magic mushroom, because it is full of soma. So that's Satchit Anand. I'll go through all the 3 slides and then we'll have some questions from you, Dhruv. The kind of jiva, like living beings, jiva is nothing but living beings. There are 2 kinds of jiva. One is Mayabadh jiva, yeah, and second is Mayatit jiva. Mayabadh jiva is somebody who is always eternally controlled by Maya, simulation, yeah. And Mayatit is they are beyond the control of Maya. So, and Mayatit again are 3 different types: Nitya Siddha, Sadhan Siddha, and Parikar. Nitya Siddha is one who is eternally free from Maya. Maya has never touched them. Sadhan Siddha, you see like a lot of Rishi Munis, they do a lot of sadhana. One day they get realized, they get God realized, and then they become Sadhan Siddha. Parikar, those who are eternally free from Maya and are associates of God. There are a lot of parikars as well, which are just like associates of God. Like, when Vishnu, he takes avatar from Vishnu, Balarama, his snake, the Vasuki, even he gets avatar. So they are like associates of God. They are parikar. For them, they are also beyond control of Maya. So 2 kinds of jeev when they take birth as a human body. So 2 kinds of jeev. One is Maya Baddha jeev. They are eternally controlled by Maya. And Maya Tit jeev, which are beyond the control of Maya. And Brahman is always called as Mayadhish. Mayadhish is like he is controller of Maya. Brahman is a controller of Maya. And you see these concept of Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna Nari, these energy flows. You can elevate yourself from being Maya Teeth to, from Maya Baddhaji to Maya Teeth. So there are different sadhana or different practices that we as human beings can follow to, become the second kind of jiva. Do you have any questions so far?
It's just so interesting. And thank you for going through these. I've learned something new about the different types of jiv, and uh, uh, I suppose it's, even though there are these categories, I know that. Would I be correct in understanding that through things like this Kundalini awakening, under the guidance of a guru, of course, that you could, that one could move, there's mobility between these different types of jiv, that, depending on one's efforts, and to try and elevate themselves.
So these, meditation, like Kundalini awakening meditation, what it does, currently we are in control of Maya. You see, like when I'm sad because, okay, this thing happened with me, I'm distressed and so on. That is because Maya is at play. So I'm controlled by Maya. That is why Maya Baddhaji. But once I start to say, for example, do Kundalini meditation or try to understand Vedas, there is something higher than what I believe the truth is of this universe, how it is working. There is something greater than what I need to understand. That is sadhana. That is all. You do it slowly every day, and that makes you one of these. We are never Nitya Siddha is definitely not us, because they are eternally free from Maya. You see, like all these gurus, sometimes they come in, like you don't know where they have come from, how did they get all these knowledge on Vedas and all that. They are Nitya Siddha. They are eternally free from Maya. Sadhan Siddha is like, okay, we can, in some lifetime, we can become Sadhan Siddha, because one day we will understand God through all our practices, all our spiritual practices. We might become Sadhan Siddha. Parikar is those who are eternally free and they are just associates of God. So our aim could be, from being a Maya Badh, like a prisoner of Maya, we can become somebody who is Maya Teeth, beyond the control of Maya. So, yeah.
And I guess that's sort of, in essence, describing how you can attain enlightenment or attain moksha or something. And so, and also there's, I guess, maybe through studying the scriptures, studying the Vedas. So it's part of what they call swadhyaya,
Yes.
studying the scriptures. That's one way, I guess, where you could, I know it's not exactly the same as Kundalini meditation, but I guess maybe that's one way, I think, through
Yes.
yoga.
There are 64 ways. You see, these 64 energies, the 64 ways, dance with classical Indian dance is one of the ways, classical music is one of the ways.
Wow.
One of the ways is like, where after waking up, people, clean their beds, put the bed correctly. Even that is a form of art. Even that is making you closer to God consciousness. So there are 64 different colors, and all of them are very, very interesting to understand. So that is why everything that we do is connected.
Wow, I would love to know more about those 64 different ways. Would you be going over those in the future, or maybe is there a list?
In the future, yes. Because that is another slide in itself.
Yeah, although it's nice that nice to have classical dance and classical music are part of it, since we, that's lovely, absolutely lovely, and even making, people. That's,
there's I think that's what I found. Like, there is a dance that you do without knowing Vedas. There's a dance that you do after knowing Vedas. And they two are completely different. When you will sing after knowing all these concepts, your bhakti, your everything is different, because you know that there is something you're doing as part of Vedas or spiritual consciousness to elevate your consciousness. You are mindful. That's where you are elevating your kriyaman karma. So you sing before knowing Vedas and you sing after knowing Vedas. They are two different things.
Wow, that sounds so beautiful. It's absolutely fascinating and beautiful. So thank you. Please carry on.
Okay, let's go through this another concept. We discussed about Brahman, the types of Brahman, the energies that Brahman have, and we have gone through types of Jiva. The third thing which stays eternal and indestructible is Maya. What is Maya? Maya is also energy of Brahman. It can be a good Maya, it can be a bad Maya. You can use Maya to gain wealth. That's what Vedas say. That is why the third category of people who understand Vedas to gain wealth and everything. So because they understand like how to use this the kinds of Maya as well. Say, for example, somebody understand Vedas, they can do various things with the yantras or mantras and everything as well. So Maya is again of various types. There are two aspects. One is Swarupa Varika Maya, or this is called as Avidya Maya. And the second one, Maya, is the Vidya Maya, which is Gunavarika Maya. Avidya Maya is like it wrongly makes a person think that I am this body. That is the Avidya Maya. Vidya Maya is like, when, say, for example, Jnani understands all these Gyan of Rajas, Tamas, like of Vedas and everything, then he understands that, okay, I'm not this body, I'm something else. So that is when the Vidya Maya, that is the Vidya Maya. Like after Gyan Mark, even after that, the person is freed from this Avidya Maya. They know that, okay, I'm not this physical body. They are freed. But and the soul attains bliss or Atmagyan, like the Jnani attains the Atmagyan. This stage is called as Brahma Bhuta Vasta. Okay, very complicated word to pronounce. But even in this stage, there is another higher state of Maya that still is activated. And that is Vidya Maya. Even if the Avidya Maya goes, the Vidya Maya stays. And to get rid of Vidya Maya, a person needs to practice devotion so that he can fully understand Brahman. So that is why, a lot of, there are 64 varieties of devotion, 64 kala that can be used. You see, like even in India, there was a bhakti movement, which is the practice of devotion. That came from here because what happens then is like you not only get rid of, after getting rid of Avidya Maya, you still have Vidya Maya on you. And only devotion can make you get rid of Vidya Maya. And then only you can understand Brahman. Are there any questions here or can I proceed?
Yeah, you can feel free to proceed. Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah.
Okay. Moksha, we just say we need moksha and so on, but moksha is also of various types. Okay, one thing to understand that Vedas, some people took it in a non-dualism way, where they think that soul is separate from God. And there is a dualism where they think that the soul can become one with God. Like that is the mukti of non-dualism. In moksha of dualism, there are various categories of moksha that is defined. One is Srishti, the desire to attain the majesty of Sri Vishnu, for example. Like they just want to attain, like whatever Vishnu has, they want to attain after moksha. The second kind of moksha is where a jivatma, they desire to attain association of Vishnu or association of Brahman. The third kind of moksha is desire to live in their abode, wherever Brahman or Sri Vishnu they are living, you want to live there as a jiva. That is the third kind of moksha. The fourth kind of moksha is to attain the beauty of Mahavishnu, like the gatekeepers of Vaikuntha, Jaya, and Maya. So they have got moksha, but then they are just like they are getting the beautiful concepts of living or being near Mahavishnu. But you just need to understand, like those who attain the dualism mukti still have a mind, they have an intellect, they have senses and a body. Yeah. First, they enjoy the God's beauty, association, attributes, and abode, because they still have that astatva. They still have a mind, they still have a very subtle intellect, senses. So there is somebody to enjoy the bliss. But then there is the other non-dualism mukti, which is again various kinds. It is called as Kaivalya Mukti. It is called moksha, just moksha in some of them. In here, in this Gyan Marg, people do not believe in a physical form of God. So they desire just to be liberated from Maya. But here, they don't have to go through their, again, birth or rebirth, they don't have to go through. They're forever liberated. But then they don't enjoy the bliss of God because there is no one left to enjoy. They are fully merged into moksha, into Brahman, sorry. So even moksha is of like various different types. So you as a jivatma, like we all of us, we don't know where are we on this spiritual path, which moksha we are looking for, or at all, like are we at all looking for moksha? We don't know because we haven't meditated enough or understood. But then these are the various kind of moksha. Once we realize who we are, we would be, for example, we will be trying to attain one of these. So is this clear a little bit?
Really very interesting. I did not know that there were these different types of moksha. It's really so interesting. I know that I heard different things from different different how do you say, like different followings, like people who follow, like say for example people who follow ISKCON, and people who follow like people who are Vaishnavas or Shaivites, people would have different ideas, and not that there's any right or wrong kind of way, but it's just so interesting that I knew about this idea of the non-dualistic idea of mukti or moksha. I knew about that, but I didn't know that there were these other types of moksha. So a question that I have to ask is that I get that you said that the non-dualistic one where you just merge with Brahman and you don't feel anything. I understand that, and I also understand that they wouldn't be part of the circle of birth, death, and rebirth. But about the dualistic types, is there still a chance that you would that you could get into the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth?
Yes.
Or is that
but you're still in happiness because you have attained moksha. So there is something like your astatva is still present and you're experiencing the same amount of bliss as Brahman.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you think, because with this non-dualistic sense of moksha, I remember hearing stories of how, and I know this is really interesting, how the story of how Ravan and I think it was also the story of how Hiranyakashipu, the father of Prahlad, how he was born as well. That I'm pretty sure it's about both the stories. That apparently the Ravan, they say, and the other incarnation, I think, is Hiranyakashipu. I'm terrible.
Yes.
I remember.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Okay, I'm glad I'm not terrible. Sometimes I'm questioning my own memory. When I don't read something for a while, and I think, is it the name? And so anyway, now I'm glad I remembered correctly. So I heard that those incarnations, those different those were basically incarnations of the same soul, and that soul originally was a gatekeeper of Vaikuntha, of Vishnu's abode, and I think, I can't remember which sage it was. There was a sage or rishi who was wanting to enter Vaikuntha, but then this gatekeeper was, I think he angered the sage. I think maybe he wasn't respected. Or there was some, I can't remember the exact reason, but I think there was some reason
to be born as two brothers, and then Vishnu will come and kill them, and then they become
moksha. How that the story of that, and I think that that gatekeeper was given a choice, wasn't he? I think he said you could either take several births as someone who's good or someone who's not a villain, but then it will take you a lot longer to get to attain that kind of moksha. Or you could take two births, and then get killed by Vishnu and then attain moksha. Then obviously, wanting to get back sooner rather than later, he said, no, I want to take these two incarnations. So it's just so interesting. And and how Ravan, I know, even though of course we know the story of him, and we don't have to get into it, but how even despite that he had to be killed by Ram and the wrongdoings he did, he came up with the Shiv Tandav Stotram, and so he was a ardent devotee of Shivji, and so it's just so interesting. And but anyway, getting back to your point, I suppose maybe would this be an example of someone who had attained or that kind of non-dualistic type of moksha,
I think
but there's a possibility of being
so they are
reborn.
Sarupya Mukti, which is like they are like gatekeepers of Vaikunt, Lok, Jaya and Vijay and so on. They get like the fourth kind of Mukti. But then there are other Muktis as well.
Very
so
interesting.
This is interesting that even moksha has got different types in Vedas. And it also says that, say, for example, there are three parts to enjoying something. This is what my guru used to always say. One who enjoys, like the subject, the object, which is like the person or the thing, which is enjoyed. You have to enjoy something. And then there is enjoyment, the action itself, Upon attaining the fifth kind of mukti, the pure soul without mind, intellect, senses, and bodies merges into the Brahman. So since the enjoyer has become one with the bliss, there is no one else to enjoy in the fifth kind of mukti. That's what my guru mentioned in his own words, that there is no astitva, if you say in Hindi, who can enjoy the bliss in the fifth kind. So he said that it might not be a wise decision to merge yourself or be like when people just say that I need moksha and all that. You don't know the different types of moksha. So which ones do you want? So these are the beautiful concepts that everything comes. And he also used to quote Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's quote that Jiver Rupaya Hoye Krishnera Nityadas, which means the true identity of Jivatma, like us, is being eternal servant of Sri Krishna, Brahman. So that is what we should be aiming at, just being so that we get equal bliss as God and in all our lifetimes. And we, we are still receiving moksha, but still able to enjoy what's out there.
Interesting. So I'm just curious. I know again I do understand that with the non-dualistic moksha you become permanently part of Brahman. So when you say become part of Brahman forever, would that be throughout every kalpa, every
yes, everything. So your entire astitva is gone.
I see.
In that kind of moksha. So there is nothing there unless there is a Mahapralaya and then Srishti reappears, then probably you come back again. But then in that entire kalpa, you're not there if you attain that kind of moksha. And in some people's birth chart, you can actually see that and calculate that because that is something to do with your 12th house because it's the house of moksha.
I see. So there have to be some placement in the 12th house?
In the 12th house, yes. Usually it's the Ketu in the 12th house. This is like their last life in this particular plane. So you see that Mula Chakra, Mula Dhara, the black hole. So they go to a different loka. But then
Mula Nakshatra, right?
Yes, Mula Nakshatra. So they can go from there to a different loka, or they can also attend moksha and merged completely. So they have that power in their chart. But then that is also, but then the other caveat is like people who gain moksha, that means they have to complete all their sanchita karma of their previous birth because all the sanchit karma has to be, the balance is always there. Plus minus is always, it has to be cancelled out. So if it's your last birth and you are supposed to have moksha, then you have to go through all the good as well as bad product of all your previous past lives. So if you see like a lot of people who are attaining moksha, they my Maharji used to say they used to have a lot of difficult charts in their you know birth charts. Like they will have the most say horrible personal life, horrible outside life, like everything will be like so bad, but then they will still be in bliss because they know that this is their last birth and they are going to gain their favorite type of moksha. Okay, let's come to, we have done, so who am I? Like when you ask yourself, there will come a point in your life when a person actually asks, like, who am I? Am I like, there are three types of bodies, like the physical body, subtle body, and causal body. When a person is awake, they think that our physical body is us. When a person is sleeping or in a deep state, that is where the subtle body is awake. So the person will think that they are the subtle body. But then when a person is in deep sleep, that is like there is no dream in that state, the causal body is active. That is what the person actually is. And that is what this causal body is actually similar to Brahman. This, in this state, he experiences, or he or she experiences, maximum happiness because their frequency matches exactly to Brahman. And once we awake or once we are dreaming again, that state is lost. So every day we all go through this, Paramananda, or we experience our own self. But then when we are awake, Maya again happens, and then we forget even our subtle body, and we assume that physical body is the true body. And the divine mathematics on death, the subtle body and causal body, along with the Jivatma and Paramatma, they go to the next body, and the next body will be chosen based on the where your mind was just seconds before your like one person's death. And the third is the new body is chosen based on this like the mind, but then the product will determine what circumstances they will face in that new birth. So, yeah. Should we still go forward, or do you think this is?
Goodness, I'd love for you to go forward, but I'm also conscious of the fact that that this has lasted for 3 hours, and I think that you
Yes.
probably have to get on
Yeah.
with your other things in the evening.
Yeah.
But maybe what you could do is that keep these slides for the next talk, and
Yes.
then
Yeah.
yeah, we can go through these last ones, and then whatever other things you want to cover, you can make more slides for whatever you want to cover next. And yeah, definitely you can put a bookmark or a marker, however you want,
I remember this, don't I?
Yeah, Antakara. Yeah, I remember learning about this while I was learning Sanskrit. But yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah. Yeah, but no, thank you so much, Alka. I really
Thanks,
appreciate,
Uttara.
the time and effort that you've put, and it just really is so fascinating to, I keep saying fascinating. Oh goodness, I probably overused that word, but it's just
Yeah,
really
me too.
is fascinating. It's so intriguing, and it's just wow, it's just right, at least for me, it's right, just right up my street, as they'd say. It's just I absolutely love it, and thank you. It's just and I hope that the audience, whoever's watching, would also find it interesting and perhaps worthwhile. Perhaps they would be able to, whatever they want to take away from it and apply for themselves, or whatever's useful or helpful for them. I hope that that this would help. Thank you so much again, Alka.
Thank you.
It's
Thanks so much,
absolutely
Uttara.
wonderful
Thanks
presentation.
for
Yeah.
organizing this and for your
Yeah.
interest. Like I'm intrigued how you
Yeah.
fascinated as well. But yeah, it should be a good product.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm really, really excited. Can't wait for the next live with you. So, yep. And anyone who's watching it, please stay tuned. And if you'd like to, hear more, then we will post more updates, and I will put this on YouTube. I mean to put the other one up on YouTube as well. Yeah, but thank you so much, Alka.
Thank you. Good night. Bye. Have a nice day,
Good night.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.